All right, live. What's going on, everybody? It's been a long week. Long week. Well, for the 0 people that are here and for the 30 other lurkers, how you doing? It's a whole stuff off the cuff. And it's same as usual. You want to roll through, you can roll through. Except for the fuck boys who can't, you know who you are. Don't even bother. But yeah, y'all seen the title. Shit's gonna be about social media, all that good stuff. What's going on, guy? Like a guy. Good afternoon. How you been? Good seeing you. Thank you for coming through. And had a good debate about what's happening right now in social media. And as we know, times have changed. I know when social media started off for me, it was nothing but, I mean, it was the classic internet, right? So we're talking in the 80s and shit. So we're talking like news forums, the bulletin boards, Prodigy, CompuServe, all that good stuff. And the biggest social media outlet there was American Online. And God, if the parents only knew about American Online, right? Then we merged into shit like Prodigy, Earthlink, and these other social media sites. And before I continue, let me add to the stage. Let's see if he can do it. It's supposed to be on, Prince. I don't know, man. Something's wrong on your end. Maybe reset, restart. You're a white screen. I don't know what's going on. Try again if you could. And if you're on the app or anything like that, make sure you update it. That's just this guy. Make sure you update app and restart. You white screen. So I'm gonna kick you off so you can come back. Remove from the stage. See if you can come back. Anyways, and as you see, TikTok, all this other stuff, kids, man, they're all over it. And nowadays with stuff like pointing out factors in pop culture, right? You have kids saying, "Oh, do the Fortnite dance," instead of knowing where it came from originally. You know, the stuff that things are such pop culture now. They either refer to other TikTok trends or video games instead of actually knowing the source of origin. And going full circle into my rant here, you have states now implementing social media laws. And I got into a good debate about one in particular. Now, don't get me wrong. We're going to talk on everything. Just because I have a different opinion doesn't make it right or it doesn't make it wrong. This just makes it, it's a whole different opinion, right? One of the new laws is by Florida governor, and he's restricting, I believe, kids of age 14 and below from having a social media account. Some will applaud this, some won't. I understand where it's coming from. I don't believe any kids young should be on the internet as far as having a social media account. Not the fact that they can't be on the internet. That's because guess who's lurking, right? Adults. Where's their safe space, right? But at the same token, I think it goes against principle of the same people who probably will approve of it will they somehow just lose their morals, which is what happened to parents' choice, right? I think there's a fine line in choice. I believe parents should have a choice. You came in and then you disappeared again. I don't know what is going on your end. Let's see. Um, my viewpoint is more of a like a libertarian viewpoint, which is government should not be poking their hands into whether or not, as a parent, I decide or not if my kid can have an account. That should be between the company and the parent. Example, freedom of speech, right? I think the most normal person can say that the KKK are a bad group of people, right? Even the bigots don't like the KKK, right? They're the clowns, right? But just because we don't like them doesn't mean that if they had the right to, say, do a protest or a march that's peaceful, they should be allowed to. Even the ACLU thought so, to the point where they sued a city on their behalf so that they could have their freedom of speech. I agree with it. And the reason is because when you dig in the cookie jar and you try to take away someone else's rights, what's the limiter? What stops it from happening? Now, what made this more interesting is that I will have another guest on later who has a 180 viewpoint from myself, and we were able to go pretty wild into this. Let me see, share screen. I went ahead and pulled up public broadcast station. There we go. Man, something on my end, man. It scared me.
My Mac is going crazy. I don't know what's going on with it.
Damn.
I usually live stream from it. It's telling me like I can't make an internet connection and all this crazy stuff.
Damn.
Check my router and everything. Everything else in the house is spot on except for my Mac.
Yeah, because it's like jittering and shit.
Yeah.
I'll just go on a pretty wild rant about social media laws and my viewpoint, and maybe hear your point of view. But the topic is right now about the social media rules and laws that are being implemented. Some people will find it okay, and some people won't. But I think I'm coming from a different place than most people. It's not the fact that I disagree. It's just the fact that I come from a place when the government digs their hand too much into the cookie jar, where's the limiter? Just because you're a poor parent on your end doesn't mean that you need to tell me on my end. So on this one was about social media laws. One example was in Florida. They limit the age limit for children to have a social media account. Now, some people can go, well, there's already rules in place and da-da-da. I said, yeah, but that's not a law. I don't need to go to fucking jail or get fined because you decided I broke a Facebook rule.
Right.
You know what I mean? Now, I do believe that there needs to be some standards set, hold people accountable. Example, these mass shootings and killings and shit like that. Laws eventually need to start being placed where, okay, you had this 14-year-old kid who's on the internet and he's making all these threats and he went and did something. Like, okay, cool, I get it. But as we speak, and I haven't read the whole thing. I'm going on more of a hypothesis of the headline of what I'm reading. And I believe I'm taking more of a libertarian viewpoint, is that you don't need to dig your hands into the cookie pot. And one example was, I was talking about like the KKK. Most people can just say, even the bigots can even say like, hey, I just don't like the KKK. They're a bunch of clowns, right?
Right.
But in the end, I agree with freedom of speech. So it's not that I agree with what they're saying. I just agree that, say they want to have a peaceful rally. I could care less if they have one or not. But at the same time, by rules and laws, if the other guy was permitted, it needs to happen. And the reason is because what's good for the goose should be good for the gander. Because if you're stopping them, will it extend to me? Will it extend to me because tomorrow you feel that, you know, freckles are bad? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. But that's the kind of stuff you don't want to set precedents for. And I believe that the rule restriction is an overreach. I don't care who did it. I don't care who made it. I think it's complete overreach. And this ain't the first. Facebook isn't the first social media platform. I've been on the internet since I was a kid. Right. And I'm not saying that this shouldn't be a thing because I was on the internet, but I couldn't imagine my parents being criminally charged because I was 8 years old on the internet. You know, I don't know what the extent, if they're just talking about having a social media profile or being on social media. I know they got something called Facebook Messenger for kids. I just created one for my youngest. And they're quick to now explain that when you do this, this does not create a profile for your child. But clearly, it's a messenger that belongs to them, but it's under mine. So it's like, I can read everything that they write. So it's like a workaround.
Yeah.
But I just think it's an overreach. And it's like, who are you placating to? And is it because, you know, so this is PBS. I try to go as neutral as possible. I'm sure there's really no such thing as neutral, right? But I don't see the public broadcast station really being 2 and 2 either side. They're kind of like the 60 Minutes show, you know?
Right.
Like, you know, they were to talk about the governor, they would be like, this is the governor. He was born on, you know, this year and this date. That's it. But they claim they will have more of the more restrictive laws that will ban for minors. It will be, the bill will ban social media accounts for children under 14 and requires parental permission for 15 and 16 years old. It was slightly watered down. I can only imagine what it was watered down from. And then this guy writes, a child in their brain development doesn't have the ability to know what they're being sucked into these addictive technologies and to see the harm and step away from it. And because of that, we have to step in for them. This guy, Renner, said at the bill signing ceremony at Jacksonville School. I can okay, if that's the case, then why can't it be social media accounts need to ensure that any kid that does sign on has parental permission? You're not my fucking child's parent, you know?
Right.
Like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like, say you're what's the rule right now? 14. So say your 13-year-old actually, because I think Facebook is 13 and under, and theirs is 14. So say you follow Facebook's rule and you have a 13-year-old child, and you're being responsible, and it's only your family and closest circle, and you monitor your child's account. I don't see the harm. I mean, maybe you have a different opinion.
No, I agree. I totally agree with you.
I wish I had my other guests. They weren't necessarily disagreement, but they had great devil advocate point of views. Maybe somebody else that's watching has a good devil advocate point of view. Says the bill DeVantis vetoed would have banned minors under 16 from the popular social media platform. So it looks like he was being less conservative, or excuse me, that's the wrong verbiage. He was being less restrictive because he vetoed it. But these cats wanted to pass a bill for 16.
That's ridiculous.
That's insane. There,
Right.
like you're talking 2 years from being an adult.
Yeah.
And it makes me wonder, one of the biggest threats to political groups is the fact that we could talk about all this other hoo-ha all day, but one of the biggest threats to the political groups is that their opinions are being swayed through popular social media accounts like TikTok and stuff like that. So then say 2 years from now, they've been watching, popular movements, either if you like them or you don't, from Me Too or whatever, and then they're swayed by that. Guess what voting block they're probably going to follow into by time they're 18, right? So it's like, is this more of a move to swindle the psyche, or is this supposed to be a legislation truly designed to help my kids?
I doubt it's. I don't see this helping in any way at all. They would a long time ago when all of these kids were writing manifestos, and supposedly these entities that we use are supposed to be double checking and researching and saving stuff that seem to be like threats to the public and society.
Right. Man says the problem is that this new gen are mentally behind our times. Even cigarettes are 21 and up. So
Mhm.
21 is the new 18.
Wow.
Yeah. And that's what's wild. But but at the same time, is 18 is 18, right?
Yep.
Here's where we get into let's go the true conservative route on this. I'm gonna make a conservative argument, right? I'm 16. You don't want you're saying I'm too stupid to be on the internet. But yet less than but 12 months or less, I am going to be in the legal standard to serve my country and die for my country.
Damn. Yep. Yep. Wow.
And I swear I've seen arguments made for those that if you serve, you should be able to drink and smoke, or if giving more privileges to those that serve as if it's a, breakthrough or something, right? So, that's an argument there for me. And then so now, how imagine him doing 16.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't imagine just one more age. I mean, this is a hypothetical because it didn't happen. Clearly, he vetoed it. But you're telling me in 12 to 13 months, I wasn't allowed to have social media. Now, 12 to 13 months, I just turned less stupid, and I'm being sent to Iraq or Ukraine or something.
Yeah.
Am I allowed to have social media then? Or should the or should I get UCMJ because I didn't follow y'all's rules and had a social media account while I was serving in the military? It's weird. It just seems like it just doesn't make sense to me. I'm going to have to read into this bill. Maybe there's more to it that they're just not covering, or I haven't read yet. Several states have considered similar legislation, and we know how it goes. All it takes is one state to set a legal precedent. Because if they're suing, say somebody's, I see a lot of legal challenges to this bill. But soon as somebody gives it on the federal side, it's okay. A lot of these people are going to follow suit. And they're
Yeah.
not going to necessarily follow suit because they support. They're just going to follow suit to copycat. Supporters in the Florida hope the bill will stand legal challenges because it would ban social media formats based on addictive features, such as notification alerts and auto play videos rather than on their content.
Mm.
I don't disagree with the addictiveness of social media, but is that social media's fault for being addictive? Like
Nope.
you're literally saying that our thought processes can't be, you know what I mean? Like, is this Minority Report now?
That's yeah, yeah. That's crazy. Yep.
Like, where is this going? Because you you know my problem with a lot of these bills, it doesn't matter, and I got to do the classic. You usually marry which side? Like, no, I'm fucking talking about one side clearly right now because you know this is the facts that are happening. Um, where does it stop? Where will it stop?
Yeah.
Because it's too generic. What are we talking about here? Why are you stopping? Oh, because it's addictive. What's addicting? What are you talking about? I'm not saying it's not true, but
Right.
this is too generic. Oh, things are addicting. Well, things that on every point of view is addicting. Knowledge is addicting.
Yeah.
Entertainment is addicting.
Yeah. I you know what, and I think so like I'm not per se a conspiracy theorist, but
I understand.
there's a lot of points that I've seen on social media as of lately that it's too much knowledge uh, that's going on as far as like we'll talk about the things like prophecies in the Bible,
Yeah.
things like the collapse of the bridge in Baltimore and stuff like that, where people are getting all of these ideas in their mind, and so like they're taking it upon what they're being fed by social media.
Versus just being an intellect and going. No,
Mhm.
like example, the big news right now is P Diddy, right?
Right.
And if you notice, even though they're funny videos to me, because like he's the butt of the jokes and no one really likes the guy. There was one where Tyson and him were sitting close. So the betrayal is Tyson moves P. Diddy's hands from next to him. Clearly, they're insinuating that Puff Daddy has his hands under his ass cheeks or something, and Tyson's maneuvering himself to basically stare down Puff Daddy and be like, try that shit again, kind of crap, right? And I wrote on one of my friends' posts. I was like, I hate to be that guy, but yet, even though this is funny, he was probably just showing off P Diddy's, watch, and there ain't nothing more to it. No, that's why they only showed you that 0.1 second as it happened and ended it right at that clip.
Yeah. Yep.
They don't want to give you no body language content prior to that.
Yeah.
Let me catch up in this chat. Right. Thanos says 18 is barely legal now. It's literally less than legal, right? The military minimum is the minimum age that you can handle a weapon. But remember, at that point, you are considered government property.
Mm.
Brainwashing kids online isn't working anymore since Gaza, so they want to take social media away. I agree. I agree wholeheartedly with your statement, Toxin. Wholeheartedly. Hey Daniel, what's up? You could see in this video his hand wasn't even near his ass. Bam! Like, come on, guys. Thank you. I didn't want to call the other people like, come on. Like, are you? They're just going with the psyops of it.
Yeah.
That's it. And it's like, right? He was just showing off the watch. Don't get me wrong. Like I said, it's funny as fuck, but it's like, but this is what people are going to go around believing. And it was just like when Bill was online talking to his friends, talking about Cat Williams. I said a statement, Cat Williams is so funny, he's right when he's wrong. Because half the shit he's saying, he ain't right. But he's so confident and so good at what he says, he right. you know. Uh, while I see attention spans are getting shorter, people are getting smarter through micro learning. Yeah, I
Damn.
agree. Now, hopefully, I'm on the same page as you. Um, I forgo reading long books. I'll wiki the shit out of them now. Like movies, forget movies. They do those like YouTube recap videos.
Yeah. Yep.
Like g- guy was walking down the street, on a bench and da da da. It may be a whole Forrest Gump synopsis, but I skip half those horror movies and half that crap, and I'll just synopsis the whole damn thing. I'm like, I got the movie.
Yeah.
Thanks to the recap. Hopefully the recap was honest because now that's the movie in my head. I don't got time for all that shit. But yeah, it's definitely attention spans are gone. Right, he would have. Exactly. I'm to believe that Diddy touched his butt cheeks and he's just like, it's okay, man. Let me just move your arms. Oh.
Just so much of that, man. Like it's finger pointing, and then like you just, including with the mess that he's in, he's already in hot water already. It's just like it seems like it's a ring, like it's connecting like to the whole thing with Dwayne Martin and Will Smith, Dwayne Wade.
I was talking to a friend and they were like, it's like the Illuminati's got like they had to do something. And you know how it is. When you look for something, you find, where there's smoke, there's fire, right? And I think personally, somebody up top, whoever the fuck it is, I'm doing the they, the thing, the big conspiracy thing, the they. Somebody's pissed at Diddy.
Big time.
You just don't go from as being as powerful as you were untouched to this shit going down because the law said so. Like, no, somebody up top hates him. Yeah. Now, I'm not saying they're in the right, they're not in the right. I'm just saying, why now? Because this guy was untouched. But good for the victims having their day, right? But back to this shit. This dude says, this renter person says he expects social media companies to sue the second after this is signed. But you know what? We're going to beat them. We're going to beat them, and we're never going to stop. But you know what's funny is that I think they want what happened with all those other people to happen, to take them out of business without taking them out of business. Or what I mean by that is, say they up the age limit somehow, right? And Facebook is just like, you know what, Florida, fuck you. No more Facebook in Florida. Well, it's a lose because now you've lost the information highway. Right or wrong, you're losing out on, like, I dare say it, Facebook is like almost half, if not over half, of information.
Right.
Source of information. I'm on Facebook. You're on Facebook. We use Facebook. Most people use Facebook. And if they're not using Facebook, they're using another Facebook platform. Instagram or something like that, right? That's a Facebook platform. You're using the Meta VR. It's a Facebook platform. And that's our source of information. And don't get me wrong, there's other sources, but guess what funnels to Facebook? The other source. CNN's got their little Facebook pages, I'm sure, and other local news outlets and medias, the Sinclair Network, all over Facebook. And that's another thing that's funny as fuck. So I'm on this one page a lot because it's just funny reading the comments, and it's like San Antonio News or some shit, right? And what they do, this is genius. This is genius. You're gonna love this. They'll post like a politically charged account, right, or an event. So say, like, for like because you got two sides, the liberals and the conservatives, right? And so who's the one that the conservatives hate the most? The or who love to hate the most. That one chick from New York. What's her name? She's young. She's like she's a house rep. Cute lady.
Yeah.
House rep, New York. What's her name? Let's see here.
Already.
And they love to call her stupid and all that good stuff.
Yeah.
What's her name? Hold on. I'm gonna look her up. Do you know?
I know her. It's on my tongue, man. I just can't remember the fucking name.
Oh, here we go. Damn, her page popped up and then she disappeared. Hold on. New York House Rep Bar.
Turning New
Alexander Ocasio-Cortez.
Cortez.
AOC. They call her AOC, right?
Yeah.
Love to hate.
The fake crier. The fake crier, the one that went down to the camp where she was at the fence, she was crying, pretend crying.
Right. Yeah, I was going somewhere with this, but I move on since I went fucking. I got off. I try to remember what I was gonna say, but it'll come back. But yeah, let's see here. I'm gonna push it for they so DeSantis also acknowledged that the law will be challenged on the First Amendment issues and bemoaned the fact that Stop Woke Act he signed into law 2 years ago was recently struck down by an appeals court with a majority of Republican appointed judges. They ruled it violated free speech rights by banning private businesses from including discussions about racial inequality and employee training.
Yes.
Nice. Got to mute one side. I'm going to add you. Okay, add the stage. Boom.
Oh, man.
Back.
All right.
Sounding great. That was another thing. He said, this is what kills me a lot of people, right?
Mm-hmm.
They take these words that are correct and verbiages and definitions, and then they like to attack it. So then, they keep making fun of it to the point where they make the word taboo. So example, woke, right? It's supposed to be this big negative thing. So DeSantis gets sued, right? Now he's got lawyers, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the lawyers that are suing him up, they make DeSantis, or the judge officially makes this DeSantis state his factual opinion on the definition of the word woke. What is it? And you know what they cite?
What's that?
These motherfuckers had the audacity to actually cite the actual definition of woke.
Man.
Let's Google it. and this is what he's fighting against. They pretty much quote the adjective down here: the alert to injustice and discrimination in society, especially racism.
Oh my God.
So he's literally saying, I'm a racist. Because he's fighting against racism, being acknowledging that racism exists in this world, or however the fuck, which way you want to see it, it exists.
Yeah.
But fuck that. We don't need that. And then that's why I think every fucking other person around sounds stupid when they misuse these terminologies and these words. Because what? Because the other guy said so? You get the definition changing? Because the other guy said so? This plays into my whole point of not fucking thinking for yourself.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, and look, it was struck down by a majority Republican appointees.
Yeah.
It says, anytime I see a bill, if I don't think it's constitutional, I veto it. Okay. A lawyer expressing confidence that the social media ban will upheld we're not only satisfied me, but we also satisfied. But we what the fuck? We not. This got to be a typo. We not only satisfied.
Me.
Yeah, that don't read right. I was, I think AI is writing this shit now. This comes from PBS. This is horrible. We not only satisfy me, but we also satisfy God. You see, now this is the kind of type of shit I got to look into and see if this guy said this shit. I think a fair application of the law and Constitution. The bill overwhelmingly passed both chambers, with some Democrats joining a majority of Republicans who supported the measure. Opponents argued it is unconstitutional and government should. Yeah, that's me. So this is where I'm against liberals and conservatives alike. That I think people, because you got your far extremes on both ends, right? And this is where the libertarian centralism comes out of me and goes, no, you're just fucking wrong.
Yeah.
I don't think you should be meddled because you suck as a parent. Like,
bravo.
I don't need you. I mean, is this not any different than stay out of my kids' school lunches? You can't tell my kids to eat broccoli. Even though she was just trying to actually give your kid the opportunity to have fucking broccoli in their school lunches, since a lot of inner city kids don't get that chance to actually have proteins and anything beyond fast food. Like that shit matters.
Right.
Your kid don't eat in the morning, they're gonna probably not do so hard on that test when they're starving. But anyways, this bill goes too far in taking away parents' rights. Democratic Anna Eskamani said, instead of banning social media access, it would be better to ensure Damn, like that's just where I'm at. It would be better to ensure improved parental oversight tools, improved access to data to stop bad actors, alongside major investments in Florida's mental health systems and programs. I agree.
I mean,
because I think my fear is what's the consequences?
Right.
So I have my child's incorrigible and he signs up, or are you gonna like charge me with truancy? What's the deal? Like,
yeah,
people go to jail for this type of shit. And is he seeking to jail people who, like, I wonder what's the consequences of not following this law?
Right, but the consequences shouldn't be against us, the parents. It should be the social media entities should be liable. Like the government can enact anything to tell. They say, "Hey, look,
double verify that I'm an adult," like they do on those porn sites. Pornhub gone everywhere. Yeah, give me that my Pornhub. Like, what's the deal?
Like, just all they have to do is enforce. Hey, look, you guys got to use your money or find a way, like make it a way where parents got to pay a certain fee for this child at this age to pay and use it instead of hindering them to make the parents.
I mean that could be a thing, but there's a verification processes.
Yeah,
there's verification processes, and the verification process is having an adult vouch on behalf of the child.
That's right.
That's all they need.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a real person. Give me a thumbs up or show me your government ID, or like, okay, whatever. Because there's they can work with ID Me or whatever, right? All these other sites use to verify government accounts.
Prove you're not a bot.
Right. Just prove you're not a bot. It's like they're scared to have people verify who they are, so they can't go running amok and say some racial shit, and then they get reported, and then the cops come for their asses.
Mm-hmm.
They're not worried about that, but you're worried if my 16-year-old gets online or not.
No.
Ain't none of your damn business. That's what's so fucking confusing. I was going somewhere with this bitch too. ALC.
But along with this, I just want to add, man, like and no, I don't want to blast the government or whatever party that's doing this, but m- like I've talked about it before, like anything they get their hands into, it just makes it worse for the American citizens. Like for instance, before I don't know when the fuck this happened, but whenever I purchased a PlayStation gift card and went online to buy games, it was always the price. There was no taxes added to it. Now all of a sudden the states want to get their taxes on your PlayStation card. So instead of it being a $50 PlayStation gift card, by the time you end up spending it, you only use $35 and you're done.
Yeah. It's insane. Everybody's got to have their fucking hands in the cookie jar, and to me, that's what it is. It's hands in the cookie jar.
You know?
There, there's got to, there's always an end game.
Yeah.
And I feel the end game isn't about people wanting to save my children from themselves. I think it has everything to do with elections.
Yeah.
Because let's see, I'm just gonna Google. Let's see, how much influence did social media have on presidential elections? Let's type that in. Oh wow. Princeton University, but let me guess, not good enough, right? But anyways, Princeton. Let's use Princeton. This is a .edu PDF. Let's see what they got to say. So a guy named Thomas Fujiwara, Karsten Mueller. He got the double shit over. I guess it's Mueller and Carlos Schwartz. So they say, we study how social media affects elections outcomes in the United States. We use variations of the numbers of Twitter users and early adopters in 2000. Damn, they went deep. Our results indicate that Twitter lowered the Republican vote in the 2016 and the 2020 presidential elections. Just going off of that, this is a college abstract at a college level of Princeton. I don't know about you, but Princeton's one of the more popular, at least in my head, prestige colleges probably in the world. Am I wrong? And they're citing that Twitter alone lowered the Republican vote in 2016 to 2020. Now, mind you, even today, even with Elon Musk, would you say the Republicans are pro-Twitter or anti-Twitter?
Very well now with
opinion,
control, pretty much more pro Twitter
because of Elon Musk.
Yes. Oh yes.
Right. But prior to that, what would you have said?
Oh, definitely not. How Twitter was. It was like the Wild Wild West. It was more liberally. It was more liberal. So right. More on the Democratic side.
Right. So, but these are private companies, am I wrong? Right. Or are they public shares? I don't know. But it just goes to show you the political climate and the hostility towards the media giants.
Yeah, that's true.
So am I to believe that this group wants my child to stay off of this because, they want to save me from myself? Or am I more inclined to believe that they want my child to stay off of social media because this is the fact of what occurred the last two elections?
Exactly. Yes. Yep. Oh, wow. Yep. Yeah. And then
I just saw this now.
And then it makes perfect sense because a lot of people, man, I based upon what we're talking about now, this seems like it's digging more into pushing for. I don't know the statistics, but when it comes to us African Americans or whatever using
Mm-hmm.
social media platforms already, a lot of people of our color already turned off from the democratic ideals and stuff, especially in Biden's position now that he's in the White House.
Mm-hmm.
They're kind of going the other way. So now this is more of a way to inflate, uh, fixing everything towards their position coming in this upcoming election.
Correct. I agree 100% because, as I said before, I don't think you'll find any more of a conservative voting bloc in the United States other than the black community. Period. Dot. The end. It's just obviously most blacks tend to not align themselves with
Yeah.
overt bigotry. If you know, is it the fact that Trump's policies were bad, or maybe the fact that Trump has a guy next to him calling black people the N-word?
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, I'm gonna look at the other guy and go, "You're not gonna do nothing about him." All right, I'm gonna go this way, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we all know this case because of the Southern strategy.
Yeah.
You can look at all the electoral votes, red on top, blue on the bottom, and then from the 60s to the 80s, bloop. I mean, it's common sense, right? But they said this had limited effect on congressional elections and previous presidential elections. Evidence from survey data, primary elections, and text analysis of millions of tweets suggests that Twitter, relatively liberal content, may have persuaded voters with moderate views to vote against Donald Trump. And then they go into all the factoids. I mean, we pretty much read the abstract of the end result here.
Mm-hmm.
And then we get into all the facts of how they came with their numbers. And I mean, we've been through this song and dance, so I don't think there's really any need to go through it too much. But I find this very interesting. And to me, it's overt, but it may be subtle to folks
Mm-hmm.
that when they make these type of policies, it seems to be in line. But there's always an end game.
Yeah.
That's beyond what they want, because what's next? You get a group of, like, example, you had mass shootings, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know about you, but it seems to be the most, at least the ones that get the airwaves of being speaking out against mass shootings the most, end up being more of the liberal mindset, because the other vote would be obviously, hey, don't touch my guns, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
But how did they rally the best? Was it because they're sitting there calling each other up, or is it because they were on social media?
Yeah.
And I think they want to stop that.
Yeah. And then and then you get people like oh man, there's tons of personalities now, like Ben Shapiro.
Oh God.
And then Candace Owens, they just fired the other day. So it's just like,
Oh, who did they fire?
Candace Owens.
Dude, that battle is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a Ben Shapiro guy, but he ends up I might be wrong on it, but he ends up making more sense than Candace on a lot of things.
Okay.
Because sometimes he comes around, but he's just like punchable annoying. like
get out of here, nerd. Get out of here.
Because he thinks by over talking and speaking fast with his fucking
Yeah.
annoying, like, you think of them, and this is me, I'm just gonna over talk you, and I'm gonna say something. I'm gonna do you a fallacy and do you a catch-22, and it doesn't matter what the fuck you say, because when you say it, you're gonna be wrong anyways.
Yeah.
Like, shut up. Like, oh, bro, I got something to pull up for you. Even he had to own this one. He looked like a moron. He went on the UK show trying that American politics shit.
Oh boy.
He got fucking wrecked to the point he had to come on Twitter and say and pull like the WWE guy True. They're like, sorry guys, this one's on me. I look stupid. Let me see, Shapiro.
Ben Shapiro was talking to who was it? What's his name, man? Because he got fired a while ago too. The guy, I guess he was debating or talking with. Was it Pierce Morgan he was talking to?
Yeah. Yeah. It was him. Here, check this shit out. This guy's straight reporter.
Okay.
Right? Because when you're a reporter, it doesn't matter what viewpoint you have. You're there to ask the hard questions. Right. So say a conservative comes on my show. I'm going to ask them liberal-based questions. But say a liberal comes on my show. I'm going to ask them conservative-based questions. This is because the viewers are going to want to hear different viewpoints. So you can answer the questions, and that's my job as a reporter, to draw them out of you. You don't fucking know my opinions or whatever.
Right.
And it's not my job to tell you my opinions. It's my job to report.
Right.
But I can only report by what you tell me. So you go around saying 2 + 2 is 4. I'm going to ask you, yeah, but some people would say 2 + 2 is 5. What do you say about that? Don't argue fucking with me. Just answer the question, because most likely there's like 20% of the population is asking the same damn question on another forum. And I'm just helping them know. But this is what he pulls. Let's check this shit out. Hopefully I don't get a strike, but we'll
abortions
see.
After a woman has been pregnant for 6 weeks is not a return to the Dark Ages. What's your answer?
My answer is something called science. Human life exists at conception. It ought to be protected. Now, back to my question to you.
Oh, I got to talk on this.
Objective journalist. BBC purports to be an objective down-the-middle network. It obviously is not. It never has been. And you, as a journalist, are proceeding to call one side of the political aisle ignorant, barbaric, and sending us back to the Dark Ages. Why don't you just say that you're on the left? Is this so hard for you? Why can't you just be honest? Seriously, it's a serious question.
Mr. Shapiro, if you only knew how ridiculous that statement is, you wouldn't have said it. I just asked you a question.
And I asked you a question. You failed to answer a single one of mine. Frankly, I find this whole thing a waste of time. If you want to read the book and critique the book, why don't you read and critique the book? If you want to critique me, you can think whatever you want of me.
Why don't you
frankly,
just try and
I don't care. I don't frankly give a damn what you think of me, since I've never heard of you.
And I've never heard of you until I briefed myself for this. But that's not the issue. You haven't.
And why the hell are you interviewing me, sir?
It's an interesting book. But my point is, your book claims that
society... Well, it'd be nice if you would quote it from time to time.
Your book is... Well, actually, I've done so several times, and I'm about to do so again, if you would let me just finish the question. Your book claims that society is turning its back on Judeo-Christian values.
Yeah,
what are those values? What are the values it's turning its back on?
I'm not inclined to continue an interview with a person as badly motivated as you as an interviewer. So I think we're done here. I appreciate your time.
All right. Well, thank you for your time and for showing that anger is not part of American political discourse. Now, Mr. Shapiro, we'll say goodbye.
The whole context of the interview is even better. Like, oh my God, it was a lot more drawn out. Oh man, but it was a one-sided wreck because they skipped the part where he got laid into. Hopefully I could find it. Okay. But he explained to him what his job is as a reporter was, and asked the questions, and he kept trying to hit back on like whatever, and he's like, it's fucking American pop. Like, I don't give a fuck about your American politics. I'm asking you about the damn book.
Right.
I'm from the fucking UK. He looks stupid.
Right.
Because it's like the guy he wasn't flared into American politics.
Right.
He's like, you wrote a book. I'm asking you about the book. Can I ask you about the book? And he's just going off about stuff. And he's like, I never once bad talked you. What are you talking about? But this is what he does. He's just, and then, let me see if I can find it. So it was Andrew Neil.
Oh yeah.
So then he did a whole apology thing too on it. Let me see. And let's see here. He writes. There we go. It's another Guardian post. But let's see here. I think the Guardian's like UK or some shit. But it was on his actual Twitter. Because at the time I didn't know who this guy was.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see if it shows his Twitter. There we go. So Andrew Neil, Georgia's new abortion laws. These are extreme hard policies. But are you an objective journalist or your opinion journalist? That's the full interview. Let's see here. Okay, he tweeted. Is this the actual Twitter? Let me see if I can show the Twitter. Pulling up the Twitter. Oh, here we go. Share this tab. He writes, so that's what it feels like. Broke my own role and wasn't properly prepared. I've addressed every single issue he raises before. And then there was another one to this, and he's like, read my book. So what he tried to do was get ahead of everything by like writing all the bad stuff about himself in the book and then putting it out there. So if you bring up his bad shit, which is actually a smart thing he pulled, he goes, oh, I wrote a book about it.
Yeah. He outed himself. So.
Yeah, he outs himself. So then you can't out him.
Just like what's B Rabbit did in 8 Mile. So Clarence couldn't get a drop on him.
It's what I'm on going off the Broadway, but it's what Alexander Hamilton did. Is in their little Broadway show, but apparently it's all historically correct. Dudes tried to extort him because he was cheating on his wife and this and that, and he wrote a whole like dissertation on everything. He ousted himself, and he put it all out there before they could get to him. I was like, damn, good, man. Have you ever got a chance to see Alexander Hamilton, the Broadway?
I've seen only little bits and pieces of it, but not entire.
This dude made a whole hip hop album on Alexander motherfucking Hamilton, and let me tell you, that shit goes hard as fuck. And the whole Broadway is a 2-hour soundtrack, and then they even play into the fact that he may be mixed race because his mama was a slave down in like the islands and shit.
Okay.
So they kind of like pulled her like he's half black card or something on that factor. I'm like, okay. But yeah, it's done well enough that Broadway is actually official .gov shit where teachers can teach off of it. So if they want to show it in schools and stuff like that, it's considered acceptable.
How's the language? Is it? Because I don't remember. Is it all Old English as far as in the Alexander Hamilton, and does it have curse words in it, or is it just it's clean?
It's pretty clean for the most part. They don't really. I don't think they really curse too much, if at all.
Okay.
I don't really recall actually. If there was, we're talking like onesies and twosies.
Got it.
I don't think so. I don't think there's not any. Now I think about it, because children it's safe for children. I know that much. It's safe for children. The content was spicy, but it's real life, so you can't. Some of it was, of course, liberal takes on, and what I mean, not liberal politics, but liberal and as far as stretching what may or may not have occurred.
Right.
But for the most part, it's all historically accurate. Like, I didn't know this motherfucker had a fucking duel. The fucking vice president got killed because of it. Like, what? Vice president of the United States killed a man? The Secretary of State? I learned that he created the banks.
Mm-hmm.
The federal banks is not federal. It's just the name. They're private banks, dude. I had no idea. None of this shit. That shit put me on a lot of shit. So fucking powerful that it was basically New York and Virginia fighting for where the capital was going to be.
Mm.
So when you think about it, there's two capitals. You got DC and you got Wall Street, New York.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so strong and powerful that near the end of the show, they were talking about how a lot of folks from I forgot their names, but the big cats and the constitutional lawmakers tried to take it down, and it was just so sound the way he had it all written in.
Mm-hmm.
There's just no dismantling the banks, and that as long as the banks support, if people in America, even if there's a war, just continue to spend and act as if there was no issues, where they're not being stupid, like COVID stupid and hoarding toilet paper and stuff like that, the economy will always flourish. Like, it will never stop. The only reason it stops is because people get scared and stop spending and this and this and that. But if we acted like there was no problems in this world and just kept spending, economy ain't no stopping, because it's unlimited spending power.
Yeah.
And the world economy is based on the American dollar. And then that's where the conspiracies come through, where the nations that got taken out have always been the ones that proposed they need to stop going off the American economy, which was Iraq, Libya. They wanted to do the whole gold dinar thing, apparently, move away from the American dollar. And then when that kind of stuff, Iran with the oil, when the Shahs got killed off, the actual elected political people were, and if you notice, it was like the last three people who were put in the power that are dictators were the ones that were put in by the United States. Actually, four. So you got Iran, current government regime, United States put them in. Saddam, United States put them in. Gaddafi, United States put them in. Fidel Castro, United States put them in.
That's
Guatemala, United States put them in. I mean, we can go on forever. But these are all stuff that they thought they were doing to dismantle other folks because they were hostile, and then they just put in worse regimes. And it backfired hard. And you know what's crazier is that when you go over there, you're talking to real people, and they know this shit. Schooling. I had a dude. Let me think. Yeah, I could talk about it because it's just a story.
Uh-huh.
I had a dude. I was in at a place. It was a big place. 30,000 people behind fences place. And the guy's name was based upon the name that the United States government was trying to seek. He was part of a contract group. So the only reason why he was never released is because he knew too much about said contract group that was ran by our folks. But either way, he told me his perspective. He's like, so like, say you were the ruler of a country. I was like, all right, we're smoking and stuff. I'm getting him a cigarette lighter. He's like, say you're the leader of a country, right? Would you go to war without actual backup? I'm like, nah, I'll have backup. And he's like, okay, so take that into account, right? He's like, that's what it was with. This is now, I'm only quoting. I'm not saying I believe it or not, right? I'm quoting. I'm trying to tell you what I'm being told, right? This is my story of him telling me, and I'm telling it to y'all. He said, Saddam was allies with Bush's. And Bush gave Saddam the green light to take Kuwait, because he said Kuwait at one time was part of Iraq or some crazy crap. So he was basically taking back what he considered his sovereign territory. Whatever. So he ended up getting the wink, wink, green light, he said, from the Bushes. And he says when Saddam did his act, et cetera, that's when the Bush was like, oh, Saddam bad, et cetera. And he said he got thrown under the bus. And that was his opinion of his story, what he was telling to me. Which kind of made sense, because when you actually look at the Iran-Iraq war, whose side were we on initially, and who used what weaponry against who, and that weaponry can only been from like 3 major countries. Those chemical weapons, these ain't dirty weapons that like, Jordan can fucking make. This is like nuclear level top secret shit. Like, this is shit that only like the UK has or United States has. And they're sitting here using it in the fucking war. Like, common sense. Like, it didn't just get out there. not those type of gases.
Right.
So it's not a conspiracy. It's conspiracy because it's real, but not a theory. Somebody on the top gave them the wrong shit to use. And it's what happens, and I think it's tough to swallow for a lot of folks, is that not everybody's always on the right side, as far as when things settle. Look at Hawaii and, who was the king of Hawaii, and they killed that motherfucker off and took that place over, like.
That's crazy.
Like it was it's like no different than Japan and their, emperor. Hawaii had a ruling class, and the United States said no. I learned something.
What's up?
There is a state that's part of the United States that's not a part of NATO, and by law, it's not protected by NATO.
Which state is that? Is it Alaska?
Nope. Because Alaska is part of North America, even though it's not attached to the United States.
Right.
There's one state that's not attached to the United States. One more.
Oh, Hawaii.
Bam. Out of all the shit, though, because what caused the war? Or what gave us the excuse to jump into the war, or the last war, right? Hawaii, right? But of all the states that's not protected by the North American Treaty, it's Hawaii.
Damn.
Yeah, there's no obligation within the treaty for Hawaii to be backed by NATO.
Wow.
So if there was another Pearl Harbor, the UK could technically sit on their asses and go, well, we're not obligated by treaty at all.
Damn.
Oh yeah, and then the full circle back to your English shit. There was another little factoid that I learned about Old English.
Mm-hmm.
You and I are speaking it right now.
Right.
It's the English you hear now in the UK is new.
I've heard that before. Yeah.
So it's called Roric or Rhotic speak, and it's where the ruling class, they try to differentiate themselves from the poor class.
Mm-hmm.
So that's when they started withholding the R's and all that crap. So that's why you hear the unique Bostonian shit and the shit in the UK and stuff, because those people held on to the newer form that was being created.
That's crazy.
So UK's been through a whole dialect change. But that's why they would say stuff like your Shakespearean plays are better played by Americans.
Mm-hmm.
because it was written in Old English, which we're speaking.
That's great. Yeah, because did you ever hear about it was this one lady, I think she lived out in South Carolina. She was saying, she was basically saying the same thing. And she's saying that their English was like how they're speaking now in the deep parts of South Carolina, Georgia and stuff. Is real country.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. Like, huh. And it was on a science show that I was watching where, I mean, this guy broke it down. It started off as they had a sphere and a bunch of little balls, and there's exaggeration, like 500 Earths can fit into the sun, kind of crap. So then they did a whole scaling, and then they had it fit in the ball. But then the guy goes, actually, there's more. And then he broke down the fact that it's actually more because there's spaces in between where the fucking balls are touching. So then he did the whole fucking math on the spaces of. I was like, oh, Jesus Christ. But then that's when he had this like little pet dog or whatever that would talk. And then he brought up the whole English thing. I was like, what the fuck? And I started deep diving for hours on it. I'm like, yo, this shit's legit. He's telling the truth. And I started speaking to my friends that are from Canada and United Kingdom and stuff like that. And they're like, yeah, actually, he's telling the truth. And I was like, oh. And then did more factoid checks to tell you what I told you. I'm like, damn, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. So
never knew that.
Jack the Ripper had a country accent.
Yeah.
I'm about to say.
I mean, the sudden draw stuff, I mean, it's probably a little too much, but yeah, I mean, but the way we're speaking, where we're not holding back we're not, hey, let's go down to the car and the bar and all this other shit, that ain't happening. We're pronouncing our fucking R's, and we're speaking fluent American style. I mean, don't get me wrong, we have all different dialects all over, but you could probably tell if you go down to the East Coast side, that's going to be the main accent line, like you said. I mean, but if you go down to Georgia, man, certain Georgia part, that's some twang.
Yeah.
Twang. And that's what's so funny. It's because people go by geographics. It's like, that's not how any of this is defined. like they're talking political Bible belts and shit like that. Like VA, like that's the South. I'm like, oh, VA, it's not the South. I'm like, what was the capital of the fucking South? You Nimrod. There's two capitals, and one of the main capitals at the time was what? It's like, you stupid. The literal flag that's flown around for the Confederacy today is the Virginia Northern Battle Flag. It's a VA flag.
That's crazy.
But it's not the South. Stupid. Oh, man. It's so weird. I had something to say about that AOC chick. It just left my head. I guess it's for the best.
Yeah, because she'll find out and she'll definitely flag this video.
Man.
She would.
Oh, the one that I despise the most, that will get me into like the most arguments with the liberal folks, is the what's her name? She's another female. Let me see her. Democrat. Let me see. Indian dispute. This chick was going around talking about how she it's like Native American shit, and then she tried to disprove Trump. Looking stupid.
How
using the DNA thing?
How recent? How long ago was this?
A couple of years ago. Damn, I just pulled up her fucking face. Let me see if I can find her. I can't stand this chick. All right, hold on. I'm gonna pull her up. Maybe you can tell me. Present.
Somebody said something in the chat.
Oh shit, my bad, guys.
But,
See Diddy, whatever. No, Diddy. Toxin bro, read your chat. We were talking to you. It must have been a pre-recorded video. Ain't pre-recorded. We talking. See here. Share screen. And it starts with a W. This share screen.
And you say she's Native American Indian?
She ain't no goddamn Native American. Warren. I just saw her tab.
Oh yeah. Well, she quote unquote claims to have what Cherokee? She's Cherokee or
ain't no damn Cherokee. You know that's like the most misused term. Like what tribe? There's like 7 tribes. Like you can't if you're not educated to say what tribe, actual tribe, you ain't shit.
Yeah,
that's what pisses me off.
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, like I'm from VA, right?
Mm-hmm.
I genetically have Native American ancestry. My family, I have family members on the rolls, et cetera, et cetera. Thing is, I was not raised on any reservations or tribal lands.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's an injustice to go around going, blah, 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 point, blah, blah, blah. You know, like I have not seeked to be on the books. None of this shit. Even though we are invited to the powwows, we've been invited to meet up with our distant cousins and
shit.
You know, like it's a thing. But that's because growing up, Native Americans in VA had less rights to own property than blacks.
Yo, that's crazy. I did not know that.
Yes. So there was like a real split. And I think I showed you once one of my cousins in the paper where they highlighted him and Native American and all that good stuff. And they just down the street. But I haven't been as close to them. That was like more my mama's generation and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, there's, and it's the same with a lot of the other cousins. I'll tell you. Damn, I can't really say the name. He's a famous actor. But I was talking to a friend about property rights and da-da-da. Long story short, she's a distant relative, you know, everybody related by somehow. And she was talking about how her family sold off their land to like her aunt, and because the aunt's family side passed for white, and then they were pass it back down for better money, but they never did. So they screwed her dad over, who had darker skin. And then the cousin allows her to basically stay in her family inherited home. Mm-hmm. But that cousin is a world famous actor, and he lives like 4 houses down.
Oh, shit.
You've seen him in a lot of movies.
Got
it. But my point is that this is what happens. And what she tried to pull was the DNA bit.
Yes.
And it's like, okay, well, then you're freaking part fucking banana. You know, like that's not how this works, lady. You know, like it's an injustice. It's disgusting. To play that shit. I was on Trump's side on this one. It's like, you look stupid, and it's annoying because it's their go-to, and I guarantee you these cats ain't claiming. You know, like this is not how any of this works.
Kevin asked, "Do you own?" You know,
I couldn't stand her either. Like she
Carmela.
Oh God, dude! When she was on that show, what's the show called? I actually like the show as far as the format's concerned. Breakfast Club.
Okay.
She started bragging about like, yeah, you know, my family's, because they asked her if she ever done pot or some shit. Mm-hmm. She's like, yeah, my daddy's Jamaican or some shit like that. You know, we all do pot. I was like, this bitch just stereotyped the Jamaican culture. First off, Jamaicans are famous for being conservative. Yeah. They're like fucking Catholic. And they don't do none of that shit. And all that Bob Marley crap is bullshit because they don't smoke. and shit. You're not fucking rock. You know what I mean? Like, they don't do none of that shit. Like, they're clean. They're vegans. Like, when we're talking true vegans, like raw veggies, like no cook, nothing. So it was like, what are you talking about? And then I remember, like, because I got like real notable family and friends in the community area, like lawyers and masons, and down in Carolina and Georgia and shit, right? And man, I was having mad debate about this chick because she pissed me off. I was like, until she needs to do a fucking apology tour, and she needs to explain her fucking actions. And she's sitting here admitting she smoked while she was in practice for her college, which basically ends up being the top cop in the largest state in the country.
Yeah.
Yep. And you're putting this people away while bragging about doing what you're putting people away for.
Yeah.
You hypocrite. I was dumbfounded, and I'm like, how many people did you put in jail for truancy? These parents and stuff. Like, it just didn't make sense. As a woman of color, playing, hard cop, and then getting on the hip hop radio and trying to be Miss Cool. Fuck out of here.
Yeah. That's wild.
And then stereotyping your own fucking demographic.
Yeah, and then on top of that too, man, like it's 2024 and she's almost out of office with Biden. Like, I have not heard, like, it's been silence on her camp. Like, I don't even know what she does.
But I'm devil's advocate. That's the case for a lot of vice presidents. Because in my opinion, I think vice presidents is more than what the presidency does. I mean, they gotta do a lot, right?
Yes.
But they're just basically the anti-Trump campaign crew. Because it's like, if Trump won it, you sure as hell ain't it. If Trump won here, because y'all suck. Like, Biden should have just sailed off to the sunset. He was like, you did good as Obama's lackey. He needed that look that the man was backing him. Good job. You repaired whatever shit legacy you had by backing him. But now it's starting to come out where he didn't agree with Obama on half his stuff. That's why he kept all those tapes and shit, because he was against Obama. And that's another thing I kept trying to bring up. Just because you're the president of a party doesn't mean that president is actually part of that party's political views.
Yeah, that's true.
If these motherfuckers, if you can't wake up to the fact that Obama was the most moderate Republican since Reagan, then you're probably a bigot, and you're just limited, because that's the facts. On paper, he was a larger moderate Republican than every fucking president before. You can sit there and bitch about Bush and the war, all this shit. You really think that not any of those motherfuckers hold a candle to Obama when it comes to the drone wars, having motherfuckers act? And then they want to have their way, go, oh, Obama don't do nothing for fucking security. Bitch, you want to talk to the thousands of people he fucking had killed off? He should make any liberal fucking score. And then fucking Mitt Romney's ass, Republican camp, but on paper, the largest liberal in fucking that you've seen. Universal fucking policies for medical and gay rights, and come on, man. Maybe. another thing. Like, what? One guy's like 78 or some shit, and the other guy's like 76.
Yeah.
Bitch, y'all both old. Like, we really doing this?
Right. Yeah.
By the time the other guy, if the other guy becomes president again, he's gonna be just as old as the other motherfucker you're saying is already old. You're hypocrites. They all need to go. But here's the thing that nobody, it don't matter what camp you on. I guarantee if you go against me on this, then I think you're truly not about moving forward on shit. Term limits. Who the fuck can be against term limits?
Right. Yeah.
Term limits. That's all you need. And it's in game. If you have term limits, then we don't see the same stupid ass faces, and we can move forward. But that's the shit that's been out since like what, the Roman fucking empires and shit. Like that was the whole purpose to term limits. They have new ideas to move further, so you don't have the same. If someone is corrupt, you know, it's term limits. But then the very people who might cry for term limits aren't for term limits.
Yeah.
You know, like get the shit passed.
Yeah, the money they're receiving is too good. The special interest or special interest groups that are going in. Hey, man, another 500,000 is coming your way.
That lobbying should be highly illegal, but that's all they do. They play the stock.
Yeah.
And they get that insider trading. And that's all it is.
Yeah.
And all of them are guilty of it. All of them. I don't know too many that wouldn't be. And
yeah. In the chat, Botrix, do we know who that is?
Oh, yeah. My bad. So I got to program this shit. So apparently that's an AI bot that I fucking set up, and I have no idea what to do with it. You could code the shit out of it, apparently. I'm going to figure it out more.
Okay.
But it'll like auto mod and stuff like that. It comes in late. I got to figure out what's up with it. But yeah, he's a mod. Yeah, so he's actually I got to go on there, and I keep forgetting about him.
Okay.
Yeah, but he's mine.
All right.
Speaking of term limits, didn't Putin win his 6th election? I mean, it's not an election, dude.
Yeah,
we know that's not even happening in an actual election. He's a dictator called the president. It's like these fools who go with political names and think that the political name actually has something to do with actual real political alignment, like social blah 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 blah, doesn't mean that you actually are socialism or whatever. Example, the People's Republic of North Korea. You really fucking think they're a republic? Like, no. Come on. Maybe.
Yeah, that dictatorship is crazy, bro. Like, you put your name on the ballot, like, hey, I'm running against you, buddy. And then 2 weeks later, you find pieces of your body all over the place.
Right.
Hey, shit.
Problem with Saddam was, I think it was too little, too late.
Yeah.
Like the first war should have took him out. It looked dumb coming in on the second war. What was that about?
Yeah.
Weapons of mass destruction, you mean the ones that we all destroyed? World's greatest intel? You know damn well their own shit.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, because here, let me play you something that here's a gaslight for you. See, on YouTube, Bush. Ready for this?
Yeah.
Now tell me what this man says. I remember this live.
Suiciders to kill innocent life, who had relations with Zarqawi. Imagine what the world would be like with him in power. The idea is to try to help change the Middle East. Now, look, part of the reason we went into Iraq was the main reason we went into Iraq at the time was we thought he had weapons of mass capacity to make weapons of mass. We also talked about the human suffering in Iraq. Mm-hmm. And I also talked the need to advance a freedom agenda. And so my answer to your question is that imagine a world in which Saddam Hussein was there, stirring up even more trouble in a part of the world that had so much resentment and so much hatred that people came and killed 3,000 of our citizens. You know, I've heard this theory about, everything was just fine until we arrived, and then, kind of the stir up the hornet's nest theory. It just doesn't hold water as far as I'm concerned. The terrorists attacked us and killed 3,000 of our citizens before we started the freedom agenda in the Middle East. What did Iraq have to do with what?
The attack on the World Trade Center.
Nothing, except for it's part of, and nobody's ever suggested in this administration that Saddam Hussein ordered the attack. Iraq was the lesson of September 11th is take threats before they fully materialize, Ken. Nobody's ever suggested that the attacks of September the 11th were ordered by Iraq. I have suggested, however, that resentment and the lack of hope create the breeding grounds for terror.
Mm. Wowie, wow.
Now, the average child in America would say, what about Iraq in 9/11?
But Bin Laden.
Right. Iraq at least had something to do with 9/11, because why else would we go into an unjust war, right?
Right.
But what did he just say?
It had nothing to do with it.
And he didn't just say it once. He said it, at least 3 to 4 extra times, and it iterated. We never made that connection. Now, I'll tell you what this... I'm not going to tell you. He's going to tell you what this was about. Let me see if it comes up with the quote. Oh, here we go. I got it. Now, when this was said, my stomach sat because I was in the military at the time. Mm-hmm. And I was just like, oh, God, here we go. So here we go.
He's the most decisive person I ever met in my life.
Huh?
Weed has known George W. Bush for 20 years, since he worked in the White House when Bush's father was vice president.
Can you hear it?
An informal advisor to the son. He absolutely has doubts. Yeah, oh, sure. But compared to most people I've met, he has fewer given the...
Yeah, I'm sorry, it's low. Let's turn it up on your end.
Son and grandson and great-grandson of highly successful men, George W. Bush spent years, it seems, struggling to come to grips with that legacy. Doug Weed recalls a conversation with the president's younger brother, Marvin. After the election in 1988, when his father was elected president, I went out to dinner with Marvin. And I said, Marvin, how about you guys? You have any interest in politics, your generation? He said, yeah, we think Jeb's going to do something. I said, well, what about George? He was my boss, and he was the oldest. I said, what about George? He said, George, he's the family clown. He's not going to do anything. So this was the perception in 1988. Long shadow of the first Iraq war, his father's war, when Saddam Hussein was left in power.
I heard him when he said this live.
Personalized the global showdown with Saddam in 2002.
There's no doubt his hatred is mainly directed at us. There's no doubt he can't stand us. After all, this is the guy that tried to kill my dad at one time.
Now, I know this context because they were whatever, but when he was on there, this was during that same time when he was talking about that last video. Mm-hmm. So then he's like, I heard some, because, human memory. I heard it, him saying something like, this is the man who tried to kill my dad after all, or something to that effect. And clearly he heard something similar. I was just like, well, we're going to war. Yeah. And he said this before he initiated the war.
That's great.
And he's like, this is the guy who tried to kill my father after all. This was a revenge war. That's all this was. Because Saddam tried to have Bush Sr. assassinated. Because, Bush Sr. was the head of the CIA. Then he became vice president. Then he became president.
Right.
So when you think about it, he's had his hand in foreign affairs for like at least almost 2 to 3 decades. And then, with the contract groups, and then he had another son running the country for what, like, because he won. Didn't he win president like back to back? He won 2 presidencies.
Yeah, because he beat out Dan Quayle, and then he beat, was it Kerr or Kerry?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was during one of his visits, I believe. Yeah, or somewhere in that area. That's actually a fact, apparently. No different than when Bush Jr. went to Iraq and he got his sandals thrown at him. He dodged it. Remember that?
Yeah,
shit?
yeah.
Like, yeah. He was good too. It's like,
man, he chucked the shit out of those.
I mean, it was a good throw, but he was like, Matrix. Can't get me.
Right.
But yeah, man, it kills me because these cats, man, like I said, from all the groups, you never hear, like, where's the original thought process from these cats? Like, you don't hear, and I'll talk about, I'm going to do the whole everybody shit. It's always the same recycled shit. Some fool said one thing, I can't think, so I'm going to recycle it. And I can, when I ever do a debate on these fucking fuckers back in the day, I could write out all my responses like the next 30 minutes because I already know what's going to be said. Like type. Wait for him to respond. Enter. Type. Wait for him to respond. Enter. I already have my responses there before they even write because it's the same cycle. Garbage. And it's like you read them like a book and it's never nothing new. It's never nothing that can counter your own thoughts or your own opinions because it's never nothing educated and sound. And it's not because we disagree. It's just because you're just repeating the same shit. Like throw some actual truth into what's said and have some morality when you fucking say it.
Right.
And it's not about, like I said, one group versus the other. It's like you're hard pressed to find folks that just use their own head.
True.
And that's what's so funny is because it's like you'll have like a liberal go, oh, you're this and this and this and that. And it's like, I'm not fucking a Republican, you dipshit. And then the Democrats will go, or the Republicans will go, oh, you're a liberal. It's like, fuck Bush and Clinton, you piece of shit. like, what are you talking about? How about you're just a fucking sheep?
Right.
Like, think I give a fuck about super predator Clinton? No. Think I give a fuck about Biden's old fucking ass? No.
Yeah, Kevin's right. He said late night talk shows really had too much fun with George Bush Jr. Like
he was awesome when that fat. He was the satire king because he was just like even though he's responsible for both. Like let's be real here. He's responsible for a lot of lives, a lot of lives. But it's a sad day when he looks tame.
Yes,
Ain't that crazy?
Yeah, that's true. Yep.
Now, factual wise, Trump does not have the lives on his hands nowhere near as this motherfucker.
Right.
But as far as personality is concerned, I'll take this motherfucker back any day. Like It was like Boondocks. You know, Boondocks was solely made because of this guy.
That's crazy.
And when the dude said he stopped making Boondocks at the time, he said because Bush is no longer president. He's like, my story's like I got nothing else to satire. He's like my all my political, because it was all political. So he's like all my comic book stuff, all that was to mock him.
Right.
It was purely to mock this guy. And he said once he was done, he lost aspiration, which segues into the other fuckwads. When John D left, why do we have the same motherfuckers talking about the same shit? It's like he's gone.
Yeah.
He's gone.
Wow.
Oh yeah, you can't say that nowhere else. And that's why I started this whole topic in the first place about diving too much into social media rules. Because are you trying to stop my child from speaking out, or is that what you're worried about? Or, you know what I mean? Like, and then example, you don't have, this isn't about me liking or not liking the rules. I'm just talking about the rules. I think it was at damn, what was, I forgot the state, but one state ruled that what fetuses are like actual human kids now, or some shit that's like opposite of what the fuck I learned in school. Let me see, fetus ruled humans. Alabama, of course, right? Alabama has ruled that embryos, not fetuses, excuse me, embryos are children. I mean, we're talking like, you know, when you're like a little child in science class and they tell you every fucking aspect of life and how the sperm meets the egg and it starts growing and when it actually starts becoming something. And I mean, we're talking about a fucking embryo. And but what but this is where I don't have to agree or disagree. Let's play into why certain rulings can show you either the idiocy or how far ahead they didn't think, where they will be probably the very people who were pro for this would be against the stuff I'm about to talk to you about and show you that they're not truly conservative about what they're talking about. Okay, embryos are kids. So are you going to give them, are you going to give the parents their tax breaks? Are you going to,
wow.
Are you going to give them medical coverages?
Right.
If we have an embryo inside every woman here, she gets to ride in the HOV lane.
Right.
You kill my wife with an embryo in it. Are we looking at two homicides?
Right.
Like, there's so many things, you know, Social Security. I mean, we're looking at a lot of rules here. Medical coverages, insurances, life insurances. Why can't my life insurance cover my embryo?
Wow, yeah, that's a good point. And then what if like you have a miscarriage? Is that one
right?
Like you?
Is this on the hospital now for not, you know, like so?
Wow.
These are the things that they don't give a fuck about because they're just trying to make a political point and they had no end game. That's my opinion. Because if you truly fucking gave a fuck, we would change the laws to suit, at least in that state, would change the laws to help people with embryos out. Now, of course, you just basically took actual embryo the right for that embryo to ever turn into a talking human being, because now they can't be touched.
Right.
And to actually develop into a fucking human being. And you just took away any woman's egg away and their life source away, and now they can't be turned into anything because you don't want them going to inside another body or a host. And you see where they're talking about the IVF and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So once again, there's always a segue. So at the time, so what is the ruling block of the nation? I would say it's mostly Christians, right? Evangelicals, whatever, right? Now, right. Somebody else has their hand in this. And they just made their own stand about it. Now, what was interesting is that this nation and this religious bloc have made kind of a liberal stance in a lot of areas, which I was like, dang, this they're really changing the outlook of the church. And then they go, whammo, surrogacy, fuck you.
Here's why one. Wow.
Now, granted, this is a counter opinion, but I'm not reading into that. I'm not gonna read on the counter opinion. I'm only reading the fact. I only want to highlight the fact that I'm trying to find the part because I just turned this on, that the Catholic Church has come out with a stance that surrogacy is a no-go. That article was probably the bad example. Let me see here.
Oh, all I'm thinking, dude, right now is miscarriage, like taking out life insurance policy on an embryo, and then you have a miscarriage. Oh man, family is paid, bro. Like,
right. Well, so since no one's ever gonna know the name of this kid, I just made NCO.
Okay.
And which was a great feeling because now I can protect the troops, right? Because I'm tired of airmen always getting hit. And I was on my second deployment out, and they made me fucking leader for God knows why. Like all the other NCOs dropped out.
Okay.
So now I'm physically the only capable NCO that's deployed out. So I have a 12-man crew, all airmen. It's like my second year at the base, second deployment out, and I've been thrown to the wolves because I'm like an E5, and team leaders are typically E6, E7s. I'm like, Jesus Christ, this is a jump, right? And we're going to a combat zone. So I mean, I had to, get the big boy pants on. So long story short, while we're there, I hear my troop. He's just like, he's on the phone, he's crying, and he goes something to the likes of, "Did you purposely XYZ to yourself?" Basically implying that his wife do something to kill their child or some shit like that. Either way, it was like I guess the baby was in her, nothing term. It was like embryo status or whatever. Like it didn't develop nothing. Ooh. And it's because they didn't get that far. And then to come find out, it was some Jerry Springer shit. His wife had an affair with his brother-in-law, so his sister's husband. His sister's husband. So his wife had an affair with his sister's husband, and his sister is a lawyer. So yeah, so I got him to go home for like 3 days during training, and then he had to come right back.
Damn.
And he's like, what about like burial and da 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 da? And this was back in the day, right? Like 07 shit. And first sergeant was like, bury what?
Wow.
He's like, I'm gonna be honest with you. He's like, bury what? Like, he got into the deep science of it. He's like, you know, shoebox, like,
oh my.
you know, like,
right.
Like there's no body to bury.
Right.
And the government doesn't see it that way. That's why he was only permitted, like we were able to give him a reprieve. But the United States government don't see it that way.
Right.
It ain't no life that got lost. That's how not far into it she was. You know. But my point is now, okay, you got a state law of Alabama. And say this ever, you know, now we're in the National Guard, which is what? Run by the what? State.
Yep.
And now I have a similar situation going on where I'm gonna exaggerate, say they got to deploy down to Texas under state orders because of, you know, the borders or some shit. And we have a similar situation where you're gonna give her you're gonna give him leave. State says that was a human. For all those women with IVFs that are in the state guard, are they going to get dependency money? You're going to get housing? Wow. This is the stupid shit that they don't think on, and this is stupid shit that they're not going to act on.
Yeah,
because this is how much they don't give a fuck. This was nothing but a politically charged bit, in my opinion. Let's see here. How far are we into it? I guess 10 more minutes. What's your personal opinion on any of this shit? Any news factoids?
I just know when you get the state or the government involved, it's never going to be to your liking. 100%. It affects everything, and then I mean, history's proven in far as like a household in the marriage. Like I know of a lot of people heard that that most families couldn't keep the husband in the house if you wanted government assistance. It was only reliance for the child and the mother, and if you had a father in the home, the government was going to help you. So, like, it's just no.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the and that's another thing. I mean, by keeping something, see, they're okay with this now. So then now what happens when you get abusers of the IVFs or something? And then now they become anchor babies or, you know, like, you know, so an immigrant comes to the United States, comes to Alabama with a fucking embryo or whatever the fuck they're talking about. We got an anchor baby now because she didn't even get knocked up. Like, how far are we going with this shit?
Yeah, and then also too, don't forget most of those states like Texas and Alabama, once the people that are coming from Mexico go to their state, you know, looking for work, but they're not legally here, they ship them on a bus up to New York, and now it becomes New York's problem, or it becomes Washington D.C.'s problem, because you know with D.C. we've become the not the sanctified city, sanctuary city for most of those folks. So then it becomes an expense to us taxpayers. It's like it's a whole circle of fuck you going around.
Yeah. I get the political move, but at the same time, I don't care for people dangerously playing with human beings' lives.
Yeah.
So, because when you find out why those people got shipped or how they got shipped, you're actually looking at human rights violations.
Yeah, that's true. That is true.
Because a lot of folks were unaware of where they were going, how they were going. They were tricked into where they were going. A lot of them weren't even official government folks, and whose money's paying for this, who gave the approval. Other than the fact that these motherfuckers are rich and powerful, any other person will be in jail. You're looking at human trafficking.
Yeah. Damn.
You're looking at that is legit human trafficking. And you can be arrested for that shit if you're anyone else. But this just goes to show you that they keep trying to tell you that there's not people above the law, and that's just not true. Clearly, there's people above the law.
Yeah. Measles? Oh shit! I haven't heard of measles in a long fucking time.
I thought measles were more down in Florida area. You said that's happening in Chicago?
Good God. Measles. Oh shit.
Yeah. Tuberculosis breaks out of Chicago migrant sheltering following measles cases.
Damn, measles and tuberculosis.
But you know what's interesting? You know what the first hit was?
What's it?
I Googled it. You have chicago.gov. Get the facts, measles with a check mark. Top stories, Fox News. Let's see here. It's all Fox News. And let me see here. But see, that just goes to show you, is it the fact that it's a big deal or not a big deal, or is this politically driven? Let's see here. And what I mean by politically driven is not the fact that they're not telling the truth about what's happening, but the fact that is one side just trying to push out a different view. So here. Why are they bringing up black people? Chicago alderman. Who the fuck's alderman and why is it lowercase? Says tuberculosis, measles crisis in migrant shelters may push away black and Latino voters.
Oh yeah, it's already have, man. Like I've seen it the other day where they're like, hey man, we are no longer voting for you guys because we've been here, we've suffered, we've gone through all this violence, and like it's like, you know, it's almost like they're treating it as a first come first serve type basis deal.
Well, yeah, and that's where I was talking about the conservative bloc. You don't get a bigger conservative bloc than black voters. But when it comes to it, they end up they don't respect their voting bloc, so then they just get pushed aside. Example, I was watching a documentary on the MOVE movement, and it was a large liberal. I don't want to say liberal. I guess it would be considered liberal because these folks were like trying to live off the grid and shit like that, and I didn't see no harm in it. But regardless, the people of the community did, because whatever the fuck they were doing near their community was just a no-go. And they would complain to the mayor and everybody else, and nothing was happening. Then it got so bad, these motherfuckers ordered a strike on the compound. Now we're talking packed area, really close by buildings. And they dropped a C4. They dropped it's a literal bomb on the compound, and it burns down blocks of black homes, blocks of them. So you have this moderate to conservative black community crying about the crimes and shit, and middle class, and their result was, we're going to bomb the house and burn down the block.
That's fucking
crazy. And then what sucked was the time of the chief of police and the mayor just guess what their demographic was.
Yeah. Yep. I know.
This is shit. It's like
there's real suffering at the heart
the
of
Menendez
this story.
brothers.
How could
I guess
these
so.
people be killed
It's an
by
ad.
their own children?
So Chicago health officials confirming a, quote, small number of tuberculosis cases in migrant shelters across the city. But they're not saying how many. This comes after 56 known measles cases are reported in the Windy City.
But
Chicago Alderman Raymond Lopez has warned about this issue for months, and he joins us now. So, Raymond, you warned them that this was going to happen, but they didn't listen to you. Are they listening now?
You know, Lawrence, good morning. I don't know how much our department...
You know what irks me about Fox, I think?
What's that?
Why do they get all the black folks that look like they're special needs? They got no common sense, motherfuckers. You know, like, where's your old school black folks like Condoleezza Rice, Colin fucking Powell? Motherfuckers that I would vote for
are crispy quinoa, lightly covered in premium.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You don't see them, do you?
Yeah.
They exist, but you don't see them representing, do you? No, because they're too smart. They don't want that representation. Why do I keep? What is wrong with fucking Fox? Like, I can't even play this shit. It's like these ads.
Number of tuberculosis cases in migrant shelters across the city, but they're not saying how many. This comes after 56 known measles cases are reported in the Windy City. Chicago Alderman Raymond Lopez has warned about this issue for months, and he joins us now. So, Raymond, you warned them that this was going to happen, but they didn't listen to you. Are they listening now?
You know, Lawrence, good morning. I don't know how much our Department of Public Health or other
officials
are listening to the alarms that we've been raising since August of last year.
He got like the Fallout eyebrows, like you put on like a character creator.
Ambulances showing that we had individuals testing positive.
Like a villain.
This is a crisis we could have avoided, just like with the measles, if we had simply instituted the American standard of vaccines upon all of those migrants being shipped to the city of Chicago.
Oh, he likes vaccines.
Come with children, they are in our schools, and all of those vaccination
vaccines
requirements
good now,
that our
right?
kids are responsible for.
Migrants cause COVID.
For the migrant asylum seeker
breakout.
Children.
They should have been vaccinated.
People, families, and communities at risk.
You know, Raymond, I've been so perplexed because, you know, I've been out there reporting, talking with the folks. They're upset. I know your district. And the people there are minorities. They're also, you got immigrants there as well. Number. But it seems like the mayor has tried to paint those that are critical of this sanctuary city policy and not having a response to the people there as anti-immigrant.
Without question, we have seen where efforts by this administration to put migrants on a toxic dump site were labeled as racist when people like myself and community.
Well, yeah, it would be racist because how did they get there in the first place? Wouldn't they have been in Texas? Shouldn't it be Texas Migrant Center? You shipped them off.
Opposed it, saying it wasn't healthy for them or for the neighborhood to have all of that.
So you just allowed the measles to go throughout our nation.
Issue about tuberculosis, measles,
why you quarantine them on at the access
told
site?
That I'm anti-immigrant and xenophobic, even though I'm the great-grandson of immigrants. So they could gaslight all they want, but at a certain point, the truth is going to come out.
What kind of fallacy shit did I just hear? I'm not xenophobic because I'm the great grandchild of immigrants.
Yeah. Wow.
Well, what? I don't know if this was a myth or not, but what was the background of Hitler again? Someone want to remind me?
And we're seeing it come out slowly and steadily now, as we saw with the measles and as we're seeing now with tuberculosis.
Real quickly, because I only got 15 seconds, Raymond, do you think people in Chicago, because of this issue, because I haven't seen people at these city council meetings like this in a long time, do you think they're going to start voting differently just based on this issue alone?
Well, as you mentioned earlier, Americans are fed up with seeing themselves being leapfrogged over by those coming to this country just to get service and support. And I think that at some point, this is going to drive a wedge, particularly for the Democratic Party, my party with our core base of African American and Latino voters who feel as though we have not invested in them the way we're investing in these migrant asylum seekers.
Such a valid point. A man of the people, Raymond Lopez. If you ever want to know what's going on in Chicago, go visit Raymond.
He looks like one of the guys that wants to purposely destroy RoboCop. Shut him down, pull RoboCop apart. This will stop him for certain. Inject him with it.
But why is it like when I read stuff like this, the biggest opinion on this happens to be from guys like him?
Yeah.
Why is it never from people who look like him or him? It's from people who look like him.
Right.
Like, please educate me more. I would love to know more. You know, I'm going to be educated so much, I'm going to click on it. Now, Biden's White House to finalize menthol cigarette relations brought opposition. First off, I actually agree with this, and it's got nothing to do with the fact that I'm looking at it from an objective position, which was
it's racist if
God. Anyways, it's racist, guys. Me talking like this makes it less racist. That dismisses everything because I'm being cynical. And when I'm cynical, that means it could be dismissed. It's not real. When I was look at different communities and stuff, smaller areas, and how they get changed and whatnot, from like what they used to look like to now, and et cetera, et cetera. I always had like say if I had mayor powers or something, et cetera, et cetera, there'd be a few things if I had my political way. And once again, this comes into the whole, I could be right, I could be wrong, but if I just had my way, right, I could just take a paintbrush and do what's right, do what's wrong, even if it's right or wrong. I would dismiss all the ABC fucking stores. It has nothing to do with the fact I don't want you to have access to alcohol.
Mm-hmm.
It's the fact, why the fuck are you trying to put it in my community? You can go to the grocery store. It could be there.
Yes.
I'm not looking for the fact that, I want some what they used to call that shit in the military, something 6, class 6, where this is just the alcohol only, and then at 9 o'clock you got to stop selling. I don't want none of that. I'm just talking about, I don't need to go walking down the street and then every 2 blocks you got a menthol joint and a alcohol joint, when you could have been selling tomatoes and cucumbers and vegetables. Some mom and pop store could have been in there, but now I got a corporate, alcohol thing. And then you're going to complain about the bums on the street. What they got? Do they got a tomato and fresh fucking bread in their hand? Or they got a fucking bottle of booze in their hand?
Right. And what? Yep.
Right. And that's my problem. And this whole menthol thing is the truth. Got out and I was taking albuterol, right? And it just does it.
Have you ever met an AI?
Ads. Hold on real quick.
Uh-oh. Okay.
So albuterol just wasn't effective on me, right? So inhalers, et cetera, et cetera. And you know what the doctor told me? Or they were like, or the primary doctor asked the other doctor, am I black?
Wait,
like, yeah. And then they're like, well, yeah. And you know what they said? Because I'm African American, the medicine isn't as effective on us. And you know why it was not as effective on us? Because I was a prior menthol smoker. But that it affects blacks.
Damn.
And we can do this whole we bleed blood, blah, 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 blah. But the facts remain that there's actually exclusive diseases that are exclusive to certain races and demographics.
Mm-hmm.
Example, I got a cousin who looks just like me. And she has a disease where she's wheelchair bound. And she got told by the doctor that it's an exclusive disease to Caucasians. And she was surprised. And I was like, well, don't be so surprised. She's like, what do you mean? I was like, because you're a doctor, right? She's like, yeah. I was like, that's because you're Caucasian. She's from Portugal. She's Caucasian. And that disease is exclusive to Caucasians. Same thing with I had a condition in the eye and they thought it was something else. I went to an optometrist. He's like, nope, I'm dismissing. And I was like, why is that? He's like, you're black. He's like, if you were white, it would actually be a cause of concern. But because you're black, it's pretty much dismissed because of the fact that it's exclusive to Caucasians and not blacks. Yeah. He's like, if you have this disease, you would be a case study.
Right.
You would be one of the 0.001%. Like it's exclusive. So going full circle back with the menthol thing, look, what is the most popular trend? Just name the most popular cigarette as a black man. If you were sporting as a black man, represent the black race. Tell me the most popular brand of cigarette.
Newports.
Tell me. Newports. What is Newports? What's in Newports? Menthol or non-menthol?
Menthol. 100%.
Do you think that's not by design? Do you think lung cancer is an issue to the black community or not? It's by design, my man. It is by design. Yes. Here we go.
If you do, racist if you don't. They were going to ban menthols, but now they won't. So what's the minty fresh scent in the air? Could be old Joe's embalming fluid or a freshly lit Newport. The Biden administration proposed ban on menthol cigs has once again been delayed until next year.
Oh, hold up.
It's nice to see Joe putting off something besides.
Are you saying something?
No. I was just mimicking.
Got you. My bad. I'm missing everything.
So why the delay? Turns out race is once again at play. You see, menthols are a popular product in the black community, which is why many view a proposed ban as unfairly targeting black customers. Therefore, a ban is racist. Yet many health organizations claim by not banning menthols, more black smokers will suffer health consequences and potentially die. So that's racist too. It's very confusing. Keeping more black people from getting lung cancer is racist, but allowing a cancer-causing agent to kill more blacks is also racist. So what's it going to be, virtue signaling liberals? You made this bed, now fall asleep while smoking in it. So it's no wonder the White House is kicking the can down the road, refusing to choose a side for fear of being labeled racist by fellow libs. It's quite the dilemma. What do liberals love more, identity politics or interfering in people's lives?
Doing it?
It's like women's sports. If they say boys should play in boys' sports, that's transphobia. But if they say boys beat the crap out of girls in women's sports, that's obviously misogynistic.
There's a reason this shit's not sold in any other nation.
Mm-hmm.
And in those other nations, you know what they have on those cigarette packs?
What's that?
The ingredients broken down. All the way broken down. What the fuck is wrong with this news media? If you pause it, it makes you go to the next thing.
Yeah. It's just like GameSpot. I hate that.
This is garbage. And it's like all now bouncing and shit because it's like, you got to go somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
If there's an ad, I'm going to scream.
Causing agent to kill more blacks. It's no wonder the White House is kicking the can down the road, refusing to choose a side for fear of being labeled racist by fellow libs. It's quite the dilemma. What do liberals love more, identity politics or interfering in people's lives? It's like women's sports. If they say boys should play in boys' sports, that's transphobia. But if they say boys beat the crap out of girls in women's sports, that's obviously misogynistic. A smart person would realize at this point identity politics is full on. But is menthol really the biggest health threat in the Black community? What about crime, lack of school choice, or joking about Jada Pinkett Smith? Maybe Joe should let people smoke whatever they want. After all, it's worked out well with his son.
Oh no, my mom died of lung cancer, so probably the cancer.
By the way, I got this idea because freaking Jesse asks. That's the first thing he
so
asked you on his show.
Let's look at his panel. Let's see if
Jesse around off camera.
Yeah.
Oh shit! It's a Funkasaurus.
He was like, "I'm sorry."
Funkasaurus. He used to wrestle in WWE.
This is a threat.
That's like he looks
word
famous.
has it that
now he's a
black voters are gravitating more towards
champion.
Trump and Republicans. So there is. Listen, we were going to.
What's his background? Is he black?
But since you want to vote for the right, guess what? More menthols.
Yeah.
So now you'll never make it to voting. How about that? Because if you
That's his
don't
representative.
smoke menthols and vote for Joe, you ain't black. So toke up. This is the dumbest ever. This isn't 1976. Nobody smokes anymore. It's not even a big thing. Like we're all just walking around with menthols. How many times have you and Kat had to walk through me, walking up and down thing with my menthols, checking on my girls in the street and see if they're bringing me those dubs I've been waiting on? Like,
I think he used to be security guard.
This isn't a sweater. This is a pimp vest. But it's ridiculous.
So I thought you were going to ask me how many menthols I've smoked, and the answer is.
Well, you're from Detroit. Quite a few, yeah. You're like our
Not
Eminem.
anymore, but I've had quite a few menthol cigarettes.
But it's
because
just
you bum
racist
them off people.
Bunny rabbit teeth.
Oh, I smoked menthols in
The
college.
fuck is she?
Yeah, we share the cancer stick. Why not? Yeah.
I did.
This is the dumbest stuff ever.
No, I love the Washington Post article that said one of the reasons they decided to not go through with this ban was they were worried that they would affect his election.
I'm getting a headache watching this.
And I just love the idea that out there are single.
What have we learned?
voters.
Have we learned anything yet?
There's single issues. Menthol 6.
But you know, but
This
the
is
whole idea of
informative?
banning something.
I thought I was gonna hear a good
Also,
take.
what Kat said is they're willing to say, "Oh, it's going to kill them." But we need their vote, so we'll like they put the vote ahead of that
He's
person's
literally
life.
gonna say, "Black people, I'm giving you menthol."
Yes. Joe,
Sounds like a laugh track.
Yeah, it's canned laughter.
And yet you're still
It's
short.
canned laughter. It's not the actual audience. It's canned laughter. There's no audience.
Started off stunted.
Yes.
Emotionally, too.
It's the Fox News
Classic
channel.
example of creating a problem where there wasn't one and then figuring out, how do we get ourselves out? Look, if it had been a
Joe
ban on something
DeVito,
that
like
white
Danny
people
DeVito's
it would
like
have been a
lost
federal law against
stepbrother.
mayonnaise
What was
passed
Right.
immediately, and they would
Yeah.
have been dealing with this. But it
the
reminds
fuck's
me
with
of
this
when
laughter?
a school has a menu for Black History Month,
Mhm.
and then a couple of loudmouths say, "Well, we don't like that," and they take the menu away, and everyone else is like, "What happened to the ribs and the cornbread? Everybody loves that stuff. It's delicious." So they're creating problems that they don't know how to solve. I think, like, hey, smoke them if you got them. I'm not a cigarette smoker.
It's a weird
If that's
fallacy,
your
but
way
okay.
you want to kill yourself, I don't care. Go right ahead. But it is funny, the idea of, like, if you could just hang in there and not die of lung cancer until after November.
Yeah, and then we'll ban it.
Message.
Then we'll ban it.
menthol in every. Well, you don't own homes, so
Every pot.
in every. Well, and
Menthol in every pot.
menthol
and
next
pot
to your
in
pot.
every.
Menthol next to your pot.
Yes. KT, why are menthols so different from other cigarettes?
I have no idea.
You were in the
There's no
military.
expert.
I worked at the Pentagon for a number of years, but you know the campaign commercial that I can't wait to see?
Mhm.
Guess who used to smoke cool cigarettes?
Who?
Barack Obama.
Ooh, that's right.
Yeah.
Are those menthols? I can't remember.
Cool? Come on.
Oh, yeah, I don't know. I
Cool,
don't,
not just because he was cool, but they were menthol.
cool is the best name for any
Is it?
product. Yeah. By the way, I'm going to have to say this. I don't care. Just doing a segment on cigarettes makes me want to smoke.
Rhoda's clay.
It's
That's what it is.
powerful,
Not Funkasaurus.
powerful product.
Yeah,
on
the
planet. I
Funkabax
just want
group.
to light up and have a cigarette. I
used
bet
to-
people right now
They
feel
used
the
to
same
dance
way.
to the
Don't do
They used to dance to the ring.
Uncle Greg says no.
Rhoda's clay.
So I just watched 6 minutes, and what did we learn?
Nothing.
I heard a lot of jokes, but guy even asked the former security Pentagon something like her opinion about the menthol, and she's like, I have no idea. Like, why are even y'all here? So there's like no health expert in the room. You had some wannabe old wrestler going, "It's not 1976 anymore. Fuck Biden." It's racist or not racist. Fuck them cats.
Mm-hmm.
It was probably not because they didn't want it to happen. It's probably because they got such kickback on the legal side that he realized that if he made this into some type of rule of law, that it would get struck down. And what's the point?
Mm-hmm.
Someone tell his legal experts say you have a sound argument to do this. You can't do this because now you're attacking the companies. That's probably all it was.
Yeah.
So we had a former WWE black rep, and that's the best he had for like he couldn't get somebody from the fucking White House to come on and go, hey, why did you stop with the bill? Why do I have a feeling if I like Google this shit, there's like an actual answer? Let's see. Why did Biden stop banning menthol? There he goes. There's a lawsuit.
Woo.
And there's actually a lawsuit forcing him to ban it. So why did he stop? What the fuck? Anti-smoking groups sued the U.S. government. So it's lobbying. It was main answer. So you have a large lobbyist group that is going to dictate the votes.
Mm-hmm.
Sued the government over the long-awaited ban on menthol, which was been idling in the White House for months. The lawsuit, its latest effort is to force the government to ban menthols, which are disproportionately used by black smokers and young people. Now, once again, you look into the science. Is there something that black folks know more than other folks for why smoking menthols is just better? Or is there some subvert psyop kind of shit going on at the fact that they disproportionately use it? Why isn't it the other way around? We only make up like 12% of the fucking population of the United States.
Yeah.
Why are black folks that are 12% of the population, maybe only a couple percent are using it? Why are they preferring menthol over than the majority of all smokers in the United States? Come the fuck on. Something is not right here.
Yeah.
Shouldn't we all be smoking the same shit? Shouldn't we all be diving in?
Exactly.
Something is more poisonous than the other, and we ain't put on to it.
Mm-hmm.
Come on now. Something is deep. But how did it get that way? Because of the commercialism. Because it's not commercialized towards any other group.
Yeah. Well, what Jason says, what Gutless isn't telling you is the Biden admin and or EPA has delayed all sorts of health-related bans over the years, just as Trump did. Pauses on liquefied natural gas exports, CC fees, etc.
Right.
Then he goes on, ban on investing in Chinese firms with similar names to other firms, cable cord cutting fees, many things are delayed and pass.
Right.
The same Fox programs were pushing Biden, making Easter Sunday trend. Bro, yeah. Bro, when I heard that, I couldn't fucking believe that. Excuse my language, but I was like, come on, man. But let me finish. Same
a guy that actually goes to church.
Yeah.
Is making Trans Day instead of, because it's Easter, so I'm gonna fight God and religion.
Mm-hmm.
It's such a fucking far reach.
Yeah. Meanwhile, March 31st was that way for many, many years and just happened to be on Easter Sunday this year. Idiots.
Right.
According to Fox, Jesus is trans now. Laugh out loud, he says.
I had somebody write something about like, because Easter's Christian holiday, da da da. I'm like, all hell the fucking Easter bunny. Like, it's all pagan commercial shit.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
You know damn well you're not actually celebrating. You ain't going to fucking church and doing 12 days of coming to Christ shit. No, you're out there in the church grass lawn with real eggs celebrating the Easter fucking bunny. Knowing damn well if you were truly conservative, that's some heresy shit and you're going against the fucking rules.
Mm.
You know. Health officials under the President Joe Biden initially targeted last August to publish the rule. Here we go. The Food and Drug Administration has spent years, most likely during the Trump era, developing the plan to eliminate menthols, estimating it could prevent 300,000 to 650,000 smoking deaths over several decades.
Mm.
Most of those would be preventable deaths among the Black community, Americans.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
It only takes one death, one person to not bear children, and you're looking at millions of people in the far, in the future of just not being born.
Right.
And it's like a systematic. It seems like it's a systematic way of this. It's like when they were ignoring AIDS, right?
Mm-hmm.
As long as it ain't affecting our community, we're good.
Yep.
And it boils over to one of their little kids gets killed. We gotta do something about this.
Exactly. Yep.
We gotta do something about this, guys. We can't have that. Cancer's bad.
Shit, man. Hey, I gotta run upstairs. The wife's calling me for dinner.
Oh shit, you're good. I'm gonna close this off.
Okay.
It's been good. Hey, thanks for all who come through. Unless Jay wants to get her ass on. Say what you gotta say. I'll let you go, man.
Hey guys, I don't know if you heard from Bill. He posted it in the iArcade community and probably other places, but there's going to be a delay on the Bash box from the date that was initially promised in April. It may be pushed back until later or earlier May. That's not going to stop you guys from being able to do pre-orders if you want it. Also, whatever games that you guys want specifically coming to the Bash box, talk to us. We'll talk to the developers and stuff like that, and get yourself hyped on the Bash box. This is a game. This is going to be a console system unit that you can use with the Unico arcade unit, the Nova Blast. And there's a few people reporting about the Nova Blast now in the gaming community, but just realize that there's other components other than the arcade boards that you could stick into it. You could add other platforms, and the BGS Bash box powered by Unico is one of them.
Bash box powered by Unico, folks.
Mm-hmm.
Wink, wink. Thank you for coming through, brother.
Oh, of course. I'll see you guys later.
Peace.
All right.
But yeah, that was a fun session. Yeah, always circle back. Hopefully I get other guests to come through and give their point of view about what I was talking about. I always like counter opinions. Oh, Shawamo.
Yo, what up?
What's up?
I'm like still doing homework, but I was like, dude, what's going on in here?
Which I was talking about. I'm glad to have you on. I was talking about the social media bit. Of course, I have my own opinion. Everyone's already heard that, but also wanted to share other opinions. You know.
Yeah, I was
side.
just because I came in here and I saw Jason's comment. Is that true? Like, did Fox actually like claim that or something? I mean, because that's believable that like they would do something that outlandish.
Jesus is trans. No, let's see here. Let me see. I'm gonna type it in now. I have no clue. I'm gonna verify via some searches and see if we get some extra validation on this. So Fox News trans Easter. Yeah, it's a Fox News.
Oh my God,
dude. It's on Fox News. Here we go. I don't know if you can see what I'm about to put up. Here we go.
They can't even get this fool's name right, and now he's trans.
Trump vows to create Christian Visibility Day following Biden's declaration of Trans Visibility Day. Transgender Day visibility happened to land on Easter Sunday this year. Oh my God! Somebody with some factual wording on Fox. Good job. I like that. Let's see. Here's a clip. Let's see if we can hear it. Of course, there's an ad. 30 seconds ad. Let me turn it down. But how was your day? Your schoolwork going?
Annoying. You can skip the ad.
Yay! Here we go.
Win the Wisconsin Republican primary in a landslide. That'll be in a few hours. And November 5th, we are going to win this state. We're going to win the White House, and we are going to save our country. We're going to save our country.
This orange makeup pisses me off.
And what the hell was Biden thinking when he declared Easter Sunday to be Trans Visibility Day? Such total disrespect to Christians. And November 5th is going to be called something else. You know, it's going to be called Christian Visibility Day when Christians turn out. Yeah, you get it. Let's call it Christian Visibility Day.
Because we're not smart, we gotta. It's like, Jesus Christ. I'm rubber, you're glue. Hopefully she lies back. Her desktop reset it on her. I was being sarcastic on the Jesus is trans now thing. I know. But multiple news networks called out Fox for linking Trans Day to a liberal replacement for Easter. Yeah, absolutely. Like, why is there an uproar? Like, it's not your day. It's not like everybody can have a day. It just happened to fall on, like the news article said, it happened to fall under that day. I don't think there was any modus operandi to sit there. I mean, they literally have it that, welcome back, that the more overt Christian following president is somehow, no matter if you like him or hate him, somehow forego all his Christian beliefs and decided that as the president of the United States, wanted to replace a Christian, well-known Christian holiday or based holiday or pagan holiday, whatever the fuck you want to call it, that Christians link themselves to, a huge voting fucking block.
Bro,
with transgenderism. Like, it makes no sense. Like, no matter how much you hate or like a person, like, even if it was like the opposite for Trump, like if the liberals were doing this to Trump, I would go, you're stupid.
Here's the problem with both sides. You have political and religious dogma on both sides. Religion is based, Christianity specifically is based on, like, entirely on genocide.
Yes.
Like, they have built a religious empire on genocide. They've murdered, pillaged, raped, and made people accept their religion over hundreds and hundreds of years. And there's evidence that they've tailored the Bible, and we know that they've left certain things out of the Bible, like at least the Christian Bible.
Completely.
And it's so, you know, I, again, like, these are just facts. I have no problem with like Christians, like people's personal choices. That's fine. That's theirs. Okay.
Facts.
But what I'm saying is, if you look historically at how Christianity was built, like, it's kind of just as bad as Satanism, you know, if you're going to call it good or bad.
Yeah.
So it's very dogmatic. And then the political aspect of it, you know, but the thing is, Easter has nothing to do with Jesus. It's bullshit. I mean, and what is it? Is it the Easter bunny? Is it Jesus? Why are people indoctrinated into telling their kids that it's the Easter bunny? You're going to get Easter eggs, and then, and we're going to church to celebrate Jesus rising from the dead. Like,
how many Christians trick their kids into the Tooth Fairy? If we're going by true Christian dogma, you have no business teaching your kids some fake fucking magical fairy exists in this world.
All right.
But the thing is, who gives a fuck, right? And it's innocent, no different. So it's like everyone's picky and choosy when they want to be all hardcore on their values.
Yeah, to me, it's ridiculous. I mean, both sides are just being manipulative.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't like how much of it actually gets absorbed into the public. Like, how many people are actually like, oh yeah, that's true. Oh yeah, that's a good idea. You know, It's hard to say, because it's like, think of like the YouTube communities, for example.
Mm-hmm.
If you see 100 comments on a video that has 10,000 views, for example,
mm-hmm.
and out of those 100 comments, 80 of those are positive comments and 20 are negative comments, right? Well, you're saying majority of those people that viewed that are aware, that are interacting in that community, are leaving positive comments, and about 20% are negative, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, you know, is that probably the same thing that you could apply to like the population of the United States, that you know, there's only a small portion of people who are actually buying into this crap, who actually believe what these people are telling them, and you know, an even smaller portion that is going against it or whatever. So it's like, it's a very strange dynamic.
You're right, but the problem about it is the way the nation is set up, the minority are highly represented, and that could be good and that could be bad. And you know, if we went off of a majority vote, one political bloc is kind of fucked. It doesn't matter whose side you're on. This is just a population factoid. So, you know, based upon the way things work, minorities are represented. So it only takes a few.
Well, I was just going to say, I don't think it's really like politics or any of that's running it, though. Like, I feel more like it's the entertainment industry. I feel like the entertainment industry has everything to do with the way that
what's the acronym of news?
I don't know, but entertainment somewhere in there.
Yeah. And you know, I just asked you that damn question, and I forgot, so I'll Google it. All right, here we go. No, why did motherfuckers put okay, notable events, weather, and sports. But
there's like, or no, there's part, like news entertainment network. You know,
right. But what I'm getting at is the events portion is the entertainment portion, and you're right. When we look at all your news channels, who is the you know, it's entertainment. Fox News,
but it's like when people take section. It's like when people take clips of like Democrats will take clips of Trump saying something like the bloodbath thing. Perfect example.
Jimmy Kimmel or something, right?
And they're like, oh yeah, well, so he's threatening that we're gonna have a bloodbath if he doesn't
right.
get elected.
Misquoting.
Yeah, it's like, no, he was saying that it's going to be a bloodbath if Biden stays in office, because then there's going to be no police and it's going to be lawless. And it's like, I'm not a Trump like supporter. I don't support either side. But the thing is, like, this is what the media does. It's what the political parties do. It's what the backers of these political parties do. And then like I see people like retweeting this, or they're being irate about it. And I'm like, are they just doing this to get a reaction out of people, or are they really that stupid?
That's stupid. They're that stupid. Because
it's really
people are only sharing these charged things and they're not doing their own viewpoint. Like, example, like you just said, there was one with Trump and he said something to the like of like get over it or some shit like that, right? So of course people are going to be upset by hearing that, right? Like,
right.
Hey, there was a mass shooting and fucking Trump, which we all know who, speaks his mind or some shit, told the families to get over it. Sounds bad, right? I'll be pissed too, right? I'm like, okay, well, I told my wife, I said, yeah, but you know how this shit is. It's not the fact that I don't believe it, because sadly it's believable, but we got to look into this. We got to see the before and the after. So let's look into this. So I Googled it up. I got the context. Ain't nothing what he was fucking saying.
Yeah. And
because he's not a public speaker. He sucks at public speaking. And I'm not making an excuse about he was not misunderstood. Clearly what he was saying was just more, it could have been handled more elegant,
right?
But when I heard it, he was definitely talking in the tone of, we need to move forward.
Yeah, but this is Trump. Trump's a businessman, though. He's like a New York business guy. So I was hearing like
him saying, I heard him say move forward, but they were trying to get him quoted in a soundbite saying something else, and it wasn't in line with what was being said. So that was an L for the libs,
Yeah, Jason, I meant like when he was referring to that, I meant like you have like news entertainment networks and stuff like that.
No, I said what's the acronym for news, but you're right, it's not an acronym, but I use it.
But yeah, so with the Trans Visibility Day thing though, like they knew what they were doing. Like they knew it was falling on Easter Sunday. Like, and I mean, it is what it is. Like, I'm not gonna make a big deal out of it. But I mean, I think it's unnecessary. And I think it's just more of you're taking something that is another politically charged subject, and then you're trying to put it over religious dogma. Like like what are you thinking?
Yeah. Like, I don't like that mix. It's a dangerous mix, doing this dogma crap.
What they need to do is allow people just to be individuals and like get past this point of drawing lines, like racial lines, lines of people's sexual orientation and all this other stuff. And it needs to be something that's in like the history books, and they need to start getting past this. Like society as a whole needs to get past the like the politically charged dogma that goes with all that stuff. I think it's like very important for people to be able to represent their heritage and be proud of their heritage. And
I think absolutely be proud, no matter where you come from. You should be proud.
And I think,
don't get me wrong, like I'm not expecting you to go, my daddy was a you shouldn't be proud of the fact that you still had a family line, but you should understand maybe not all family members are on the right side of history.
Right, but
that's all.
But that's
nobody's
the thing.
asking you to be
The key word there is history. So it's
Right.
like, what have we learned? And it's like,
Right.
it seems more like people really haven't learned a whole lot from history. Like it's just repeating itself in different ways. And there is a lot of elements of truth to the stereotypes that you see with a lot of these different things that are politically charged. There is some truth to each element of the situations that get presented, but at the same time, it's like you're taking all of these little examples and they get blown up in the news and media, and you're taking like the 2% across the entire population of the United States, and they only seem so huge, and it only seems like as much of a problem because it's getting blown up in the news media and on social media.
Right. Jason says the male Christians in a room at Fox News saw the two dates match and got a bonus check for the correlation.
But yeah, I don't know. Like, it's stupid. It's really, really, it's like, it still is mind bending to me that we're at this point in our evolution. And like, this is what we're doing. Like, this is our political and social infrastructure. And like the whole problem is that the whole world is basically fundamentally, the 7 continents are run by 10 major foundations, starting with Microsoft, and most of them are tech companies. It's either oil or tech companies, and these are the people that are controlling everything. And so
let's get deeper. So you're talking about companies, and then what do companies make? Money, right? So money, who's making the money? Billionaires, right? So now we get into the billionaires. Now we list the billionaires. Just say it, Jay, Illuminati.
But yeah, I mean, like, if you look at all of those things, they bleed into every aspect of society worldwide.
Yeah.
And so it's like these guys have like some serious draconian power. And that is like, I think, one of the biggest problems that people face right now is that we really we're not powerless, but our ability to employ our power has been diminished for so much for so long, and there's still so many people that are feeding into it. Like, if everybody stopped going to the movie theaters, if everybody stopped paying for digital what's it called, subscriptions, and if everybody essentially stopped supporting all these companies and said, we're not doing this until things change, that would be like one way, for example, that we could get through and start, making maybe like a dent in these companies. And then you have like the other side, which is like the conspiracy side, which is like, well, they're gonna kill off half the people in the world, and I don't think that's right, because they need us. Like, we're cattle basically to them. Like, they need us for their system to run, for them to make money, and for them to have.
Was like the pharmaceutical stuff. One of the top folks, we're talking like millionaire, billionaire folks, someone was saying something to the likes of, there probably could be a cure for cancer, but then where's the money in that?
Right. Exactly.
So what was that one famous line? I believe there's supposed to be truth in it, because I swore I saw it on the documentary, but it was with about Tesla, and how I forgot the agency's still around, but it was like electric company, and they pulled the plug on them And they said, if we can't put a meter to it, then what's the point? You know, so
yeah,
there's always, like I was talking to Prince earlier, and I was saying there's always a motive, and either it could be to, you know, their own political group of discrimination or whatever. But in the end, when we're talking about these political motivations and stuff, it's money.
Right.
You know, it's classism. Now, as a result of classism, do you get the discrimination, the bigotry, absolutely. But in the end, it's what motivates people is money. I don't wake up, you know, you don't wake up every day and go, I want to be on this earth because I'm just living life. You know, most people get up because they have to earn some, which we should be. But most people wake up on this earth to find some form of income to be able to have luxuries, which the government says that we are not entitled to unless we have the income to have it, which is electricity.
And then they tax that
running
income.
water. Right. Why isn't running water free for all houses? At least running water. You know, like,
yeah.
But if I can't afford it, if I can't afford running water to this house or electricity, they'll condemn it. Then they'll take my house.
Right. And that's the thing. The whole system is broken.
But I'm not allowed to live off of free rainwater.
It's not broken. It is engineered to work against us and to be in the favor of those who are making, you know, reaping all the benefits and the profits of it.
It's illegal to live off the grid.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we're supposed to be, but so they won't let us be sustainable and capable. You know, there was a time where the government was like, hey, own 2 chickens. Everyone should have 2 chickens.
Right.
You know, if you had 2 chickens, you could live off those probably for the rest of your life. And it doesn't take shit to raise chickens. Spend about an hour of your day out of 24 hours, and you can have a clean chicken pit, and you're going to have eggs for, you know, a lifetime.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. And we just, you know, we get further and further away from that and closer to the consumer market, consumer model. But yeah, it's really, it's pretty disgusting. Like when you think about it, like where the position that majority of the normies are in. And, you know, as much as people talk about financial stability and stuff like that, like at the end of the day, it really doesn't matter if you have financial stability. I mean, it does, sure. Like, are you gonna have maybe less stress in your life? Possibly. It just depends on your personality and what you're doing. But I don't know. I just think like that the fabric of society is so tarnished that it's going to take something extremely drastic to happen, or it's going to take a very long time to recover it and get it back to a state of equality for everybody. But yeah, so I don't know. I guess we could ramble about that forever. But I did want to like hit on the social media thing real quick.
Yeah.
Like I'm curious, what did you guys like talk about? What did you guys get to?
I was talking about basically my own point of view about I believed it was a overreach by the government to make laws about social media. I think it's just too much as far as social media is concerned. You know, I don't think this is something like cigarettes, something that's actually poison. But I did agree with one when I was reading the article. I did agree with one of the liberal senators or whatever, stating that they should basically make policies or laws based upon the fact that there should be stronger parental tools to help guide or restrict children. But as far as telling me that I had made a point of like, you know, my 16-year-old can't come on the internet when you're talking like a year later, because DeSantis had vetoed it, so it's kind of moot. But my point is that that was a policy that was being proposed. So imagine if that got through. And now you're telling me a year later, I can make a choice to let my child go die in the military at 17, but a year prior to that, you're telling me he can't even have a Facebook account. And I just think it's too much. Especially say, I have a 16-year-old right now. What business of it is yours if I get him a social media account, he makes it private, and only the family members are in contact with him because I'm parenting? I just feel that it's like one of those. It had nothing to do with the fact that, real quick, I just felt it had nothing to do with the fact that they were helping me. I felt it was more political driven. Like, we found out that we don't like Twitter, we don't like Facebook because it's too liberal run or too conservative run, and this is going to affect our elections. And for me, I think it's deeper into that than helping me as a parent. Go ahead.
I mean, I think that there's always kind of like that element, that there's something like that backing it. But I mean, I still, like you and I kind of talked about this before, just that the guidelines, there needs to be more guidelines.
I agree.
And that, them trying to implement a law like that, we didn't think it would go through, but that it would start raising flags so that they could, do like the next couple levels down, or basically, start using things like that to implement more guidelines. But one of the biggest things is moderation. Like if they have more ways for people to approve these systems for their kids, and more parental controls, or kid platforms that can be supervised digitally by parents, and then they have moderation, that would make a difference. But we talked about this. If YouTube had, for example, just YouTube, but obviously this can apply to every social media platform. If every social media platform had human moderators looking at these different things and following like the moderation or the community policies, think about how much more efficient the system could potentially be because of that. And you would be giving people jobs. People could work from home, or they could go into an office setting and do things from there. I think an office setting would be more ideal, like Japanese style, bunch of cubicles or whatever, round table of people, and they're sitting there and moderating, and they're able to crosstalk and stuff like that. But I mean, the point is that there's not enough moderation on YouTube right now enforcing their community policies at all. So that's just one example, but I mean, it happens on Instagram, it happens on other platforms. And
what is a social media account? Would YouTube be considered a social media account? Would TikTok?
I definitely think YouTube is considered social media. I think TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, or X, whatever it is. I mean, all these things I think are anything where you're on there sharing, pictures, information, and stuff like that. I mean,
is that a social media account though? Because, like, example, Facebook Messenger Kids, they made sure to say that by creating this account does not stipulate that this is a social media profile.
Right. Well,
it's just a tool.
It's just Messenger. Right.
But the thing about it is,
but moderating people's private conversations is different, as opposed to what they can post and what they can get into and what they can comment on. So if certain, what would you call it? If certain, what?
I mean, but for me, you're looking at constitutional violations. If I'm just stretching, because just because you're a kid doesn't mean you don't have the right to speak out. Imagine that one chick, right? That one that the conservatives love to hate. That one girl she went to like the UN and Greta or some bullshit, right?
Okay, that's true, but it shouldn't mean that, like, okay, for example, it shouldn't mean like
what's
if you're
her
a kid,
biggest audience is social media. That's the only way she can communicate right now is through social
right?
media. So she's a world.
But
I mean, people can diss her all they want, but she's a world leader in some aspects as a young child.
Well, she's recognized nationally,
right?
But Greta Thunberg,
internationally.
Yeah, internationally. That's what I meant. Sorry.
Yeah.
So my point is like, okay, but she's still an adult, and she's yeah.
Was she an adult when she first started?
I don't think she was when she first started, but she was older. But my point is like, I'm talking about like younger children, because if you think about it, like the law that they wanted to pass was for 14 and older, 14 and under. And so if you have a kid who's 14 and under, they shouldn't just have access to anywhere on any social media platform. That's not a constitutional violation. It's a safety measure. It's the same thing as saying, okay, you have to be 21 years old to drink. It's a safety measure. Do I agree with that? No. But the point is, like, you have to be an adult. You know what I'm saying? And it's the same thing with purchasing marijuana or whatever. You have to be of legal age to do that. And I think that there is that aspect of it with kids.
But where's this? Even though we agree that there's definitely a
okay, but
if we did the research, we agree that if we did the research, we could find the evidence. But where is the research as we speak on a true funded, you know what I mean, aspect to show the courts, hey, there's a disease out there threatening our children, and that disease is social media, et cetera, et cetera. Otherwise, what are we policing?
Okay, well, look, unsupervised pH is technically a social media account, right?
What do you mean? pH? What's that?
Yeah.
What's that?
Pornhub.
Oh, Pornhub?
Yeah. So I try not to say certain words on
porn
on YouTube, but that's technically yeah, that can
they got like comments in there.
Exactly. You can interact in there. And you can, so like, have you ever seen the show Euphoria?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So her friend, they're all underage, they're in high school or whatever. And the more heavyset friend,
like
she starts doing stuff on pH.
Mm-hmm.
And she's doing like, video calls and stuff like that. But she's old enough and she's wearing like a mask to where she can pass as, an adult doing these things. And the point is, it's like a social media platform, and she's getting paid a lot of money to do.
I don't need to go to jail because my kid snuck on the fucking iPad and went on the Pornhub.
But what I'm saying is that
these restrictions should be against the company, like they did Pornhub. Saying, hey, you need as a company need to verify.
But how can you moderate? How can you fully moderate access to the internet aside from in your house? I mean, the only way you could do it you have to be responsible for doing it in your house. Like, if you allow your kids to be on, so for example, like Microsoft has like parental controls. I can set up like my kids' web browsers so that they only have access to very specific, very certain websites. However, on phones, it can be a little bit more tricky.
I got two counts for that. Let's take that and go. That's exactly what they were saying earlier, that they should supply stronger parental tools.
But what if parents aren't doing their job?
Or on top of that, let's take your point of view about the Pornhub thingy. Then they need to reverse the Pornhub ruling.
My thing is, not all parents are going to do their jobs.
Since they can't,
and kids,
how do they know they restrict and unrestrict the Pornhub rule?
Kids widely have access to the internet. Like it's readily available. Like there's digital.
Who's the law for?
The law is supposed. It's supposed to.
Laws are supposed to punish when they're not abide by, right?
Well, if a law is broken, then there may be a consequence for breaking that law. Yes.
That's the whole purpose to a law. So, who's the law for?
You're talking about the social media law?
Yeah, like would it be?
Well, hopefully it's
punish
for
the child, or to punish the parent, or to punish the company, or all the above.
Well, I would think it would fall back onto the adult of the household, because they're the ones who are allowing access to that material, even if it's not deliberate. I mean, I just don't think you can get into the nitty-gritty details of things, like, because there's a broader perspective. The broader perspective.
They should unbar. I think they should. With that, I'm not saying I disagree with you, but if we go that route, I think those certain states should unbar Pornhub and put in social media laws to the parent for Pornhub.
Right. I saw something.
Why are you punishing the company when it's the parent, right?
The FTC just rejected facial recognition technology that could potentially recognize like the age of people who are using it. But it's I mean,
it could be discriminatory. It doesn't recognize, and it doesn't do blacks any justice. You know how many times like the school crap can't see my face because of my skin complexion?
But my what I was gonna say is though is that you can't really trust technology to do it for people. Like, to me, that's lazy. Like, people need to be responsible for what they put into it's like for what you feed your kids. It's the same thing. What are you allowing your kid to eat? What food does your kid have access to? It's a similar comparison with the social media thing. All right, you can control those things, but if you're not paying attention and you're not teaching your kid the right things, then they're going to do basically whatever they want. And it's, they're going to eat shit. They're going to eat junk food. They're going to eat candy. They're going to eat food with a lot of preservatives in it and stuff like that. And it's kind of a similar principle. Like, it falls back on you.
Check this out. If we're going to extremes, then virtual reality, the Quest, all them kids on there. Because guess what you're supposed to have in order to be online? Social media account.
Right.
So that's just for them getting on virtual reality, the internet in Florida would be considered against the law.
Well, it wouldn't be considered against the law if they're not using their own quote unquote social media account, because that was the law, is that they wouldn't be allowed to have their own social media accounts. That doesn't mean they can't look at their parents or use their parents.
So I understand what you're saying, but then we were promoting a workaround, which they could technically promote a workaround that, okay, well, kids can't create their own social media accounts, so then what's stopping them from just allowing them to use the parent's account?
Right.
Or the parent creating them their account. So are you saying that, am I missing something? So that, say I create the account now, would that be not against the law?
That would be a workaround.
Interesting.
So there's a lot of different aspects of the whole social media thing that you have to look at when you're taking these things into consideration. But my point is that ultimately what you give your kid, what you allow your kid to do, and what access you give them to these things, it ultimately falls on the adult, the caretaker, because because it's just like alcohol. Like your kids aren't really going to be able to get alcohol unless you buy it for them or someone who's old enough buys it for them, you know? And again, you can't control everything. You can't manage everything, but majority of it, if you're paying attention, if you're doing your job as a parent, you can be in control of when it comes to things like that. And so I'm just saying, like, as far as like who it should fall back on, it shouldn't fall back on the companies. It should fall back on the parents. You know, if something happens, because they're the ones who allowed their kids to have access to it. Now, if there's some crazy circumstances, like this kid was over at their friend's house and they were, you know, doing something they weren't supposed to be, well, then it, you know, obviously that's different. But I'm talking about like in your own home, what your kids are taking to school, like what kind of phone and stuff.
Yeah.
You know, like my daughter had a flip phone until she was, she's turning 14. And so she just like within the last 2 weeks got an iPhone.
Yeah.
And she had a flip phone up until that point, and she doesn't have any social media accounts. And not because of any laws or anything, just because, I mean, my littlest daughter was telling me that there's some girl, she's in 2nd grade, and this kid has like a fucking iPhone 13 or something, and she'll sneak it into school and she saves like inappropriate videos on it.
Yeah, some kid was doing that shit to my my youngest on the school bus. They had a school Chromebook showing them inappropriate video stuff. I think it was like girls in bikinis or some silly crap.
Right.
But you know, I had him report it, and it was on the school tab or computer. I'm like, come on, folks, what the heck?
But that's my point though. Like these some parents are just oblivious, like, or they just don't care.
A little bit of both.
And that is a problem, because it's not healthy for kids to have no guidance with things like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that goes for social media, because kids are naive. And think about a kid having open access, having open access to any social media platform and being able to talk to whoever they want. I mean, hell, even Roblox is potentially dangerous.
But the problem is we can use the same excuses that are used for every other rules and laws that don't want to, people don't want to be enforced. Simply do, well, what's the point of even making a law? The criminals aren't going to follow the rules and blah, blah, you know what I mean? So why waste energy, resources into what could be overreach into good folks? No different than if we were to, I know I'm going completely extreme,
why,
but say this, with gun laws or something like that.
That's why I think that it needs to be moderated. I think the first step needs to be more moderation, give people more jobs, and then
parents better tools.
Give parents better tools that go along with the additional moderation. So
hey,
as Taylor,
you have a child, I can see every fucking thing that you're right. Like the Google has a great child thing. My child wants to download something, guess what they have to do? Ask parents permission.
Right, exactly. Yeah. And that's the same thing with Microsoft, if you enable all the tools. But I mean, with these social media platforms, it should be the same way, but there should also be live moderation. There should be people who can step
in the groups and go, hey, this conversation is getting out of line, like old school video games, right?
Well, not even necessarily like that, but like pages. Like if some kid has an inappropriate page that is talking about like murdering like other kids or something,
they ignore the reports,
right? But that's why I'm saying they need live moderation. So these are like the things, that's where they need to start, like not just being like, we need a law, that says no 14-year-olds, blah, blah, blah. No, like you need to start by giving these companies more laws or guidelines or whatever, and saying you have a year to provide more live moderation, to provide more tools to parents
well, check this out. I hear you. Facebook already has a rule about what, like 13-year-olds can't have an account, right?
Yeah, but that's stupid. Anybody could easily work around that.
Could. And yes, you're right. But look at what they did with Pornhub, right? It got to the point where Pornhub was put in such a check that they're like, you know what? Screw you guys. We're just not going to be in your state no more, right? Why can't that kind of whatever restriction they put on them, they can't put on the social media accounts and going, y'all need to effing ensure that whatever is going down, that kid, that ain't a kid.
Oh, because the porn sites, like they have a disclaimer. If you're not 18 years old, you can't enter. Okay. Now the rest of it is up to the parents. Like, dude, it's very easy. If you have parental controls turned on, all those sites are immediately blocked.
You're right, but my point is they made a law about it. But whatever it was so on point that
no, they didn't make a law about it. Like, I thought that Pornhub voluntarily was like, we're pulling our servers.
There's a rule or a law in the state that says no, there's a restrictive, like they pulled out of like 17 states because those states made laws and rules about they have to have a verification process to prove that they're over a certain age.
Right.
And they're like, and their stance is, no, that should be on the blah, 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 blah. But since y'all want to play this game, we just won't let you guys have any viewing, So my point is, whatever the heck they did might have been done right as far as getting them in check, to the point, well, why aren't those same rules just applied to the company to go, hey, y'all need to have checks and balances? And it's not the fact that, hey, if you let a 14-year-old kid on here, you guys are going to be screwed. No, it was, we want you to have a verification process to prove you are you. So if they do some workaround to IDD me, whatever the heck they call that crap, and somehow they got a fake license and it was approved, that's on the verification side,
right?
But they did what they were supposed to do. That's what I'm getting at, is that why don't they ask these people to do a better verification process? That, hey, you're an adult, you need to submit your driver's license to this whatever. Like me on Facebook, I'm Facebook verified by, this is my name, it's Messiah, here's my government ID, blah, 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 blah. Because people try to report it for fake whatever. I'm like, nope, I'm verified right now, so no more of that, right?
Yeah.
And Facebook allows that. If you dive further into Facebook, you can actually verify your real name with Facebook, so it's never questioned. And
yeah, I mean, but then that's kind of like, there's a privacy aspect of that too. So I don't know, that gets dodgy.
But it's a choice. You don't have an account.
It is a choice, but I mean,
you're signing up.
There's a lot of different. Honestly, there's a lot of different arguments that I could bring up about this, but I don't have time. I have like 6 minutes left.
Weekend, we're going deep dive.
Yeah, but I mean, it is a good topic for conversation, because I think that's another thing, like the privacy aspect of online environments is important, because it's important like for people to be able to have some level of anonymity for safety. And the more information that you put out onto these social media platforms, I mean, they're not secure. Like, people hack them all the time and get people's information. So like, that's like one of my biggest arguments, is like, unless they're going to be held liable for that, then you shouldn't be required to verify yourself. Now, again, that goes back to the live moderation thing. Like, so if you have people who are having predatory behaviors,
I think you are required because Facebook doesn't want fake. They want your real name.
Yeah, and the thing is,
and
though,
I think
is
that's
that
the rule. I think that's a policy rule that you have to abide by, or you're not permitted to have an account.
But like, look, if somebody has an account that has predatory behavior, usually like those accounts are tied to certain devices, right?
Yes.
Like you can see that, like, all right, I logged in on Google and I logged in on my iPhone, whatever. Okay. Well, if your account is tied to that device, then and you have predatory behavior, then your meta accounts on that device should be like, you should have no more access on that device. For example, like if you've had multiple accounts of violation, like, okay, this device is banned from using our apps because of its behavior. You know what I'm saying? Like that is a more logical approach, in my opinion. But saying that people have to like verify themselves and put their, real identity out there when all these meta platforms have problems even keeping their platform secure is a little bit asinine, and it's just not safe. I mean, I just don't think it's safe for many other reasons, but
that's the catch-22. It's also not safe to have a bunch of trolls. So, there's so much to talk about that, I think, just like you said, it needs to start smaller than a law, that there needs to be better tools. Now, if a law needs to be made to enforce the tools, so be it. Like, right. Hey, you need to figure out a way that parents can monitor their children, or, we get an alert when they say certain words or something, like your child's talking about, dogs, and you didn't want them to talk about dogs. Like, I remember when I had my son finally have a phone, I told him what was going to be on it or whatever. It was like Dog Watch or something, whatever the fuck app was. And thank God I had it, because I had put it on the Chromebook and it was alerting me on certain stuff. And I was able to go all the way into like deep dive into like, because when they started with this whole COVID thing, they were on Teams, and it flagged all these crap that these kids were like typing in Teams. I was like, no, So, yeah. But that's me being a responsible parent, because prior to this, internet was so new. The hell, my parents wouldn't know what I was doing on the internet, nor did they care, because there was no threat to them. But God, AOL, oh my lordy, Predator Central, right?
Right.
But
oh yeah, big time. And that was the thing too.
Yeah. And so I grew up from that era, and I'm policing way more than the prior did. But I think the issue is going to be the fact that we're going to have to acknowledge that this isn't going anywhere, nor really should it, just because it's there. And we're going to have to figure out ways to move forward. What is that? You all right? Farting in is your butt next to the mic? What's going on?
No, I'm like blowing through this filter thing. It's like,
I was like, I'm being trolled. What's happening? Have you heard this?
Wait, what?
Oh, I was gonna ask
dude,
you.
When are you gonna put lights up in your background? You need to like put some like more ambient lighting in your background.
Check this. I just got like a grand computer a couple of days ago, so that's about to come in from Best Buy. So I'm gonna have the whole green screen shit, all that good crap probably going on.
All right, I gotta
Have you ever real quick? You ever remember this game Normality?
Let me see.
kind of plays into everything. I just remembered when you talked about normality or some shit. I was like, normality. I forgot about this game.
Ah, too loud. I'm gonna build a luge for my speakers if I ever see 'em. I'll be glad to get out of here.
Oh my god, this is such a 90s game.
Oh yeah.
I don't remember this.
So it's just like this hippie shit of like, like escape the apartment kind of crap. They're making it way too quirky, but it was called Normality, and you were just like in this dredge of this world.
Yeah.
And obviously you're a hippie, but the game was really freaking cool for its era. It was that whole these guys made this style of games. They were famous for it. Interplay, where it's like the point and click shit.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Classic.
Normality. Yeah, it was a huge classic for me.
But no, I hadn't heard of that. I'll have to check it out now.
Yeah, please do.
So, anyways, but yeah, thanks for having me on.
Thanks for
and
coming
stuff. And yeah, that whole topic is really a crazy topic when you start to delve into it.
Highly. Talk about it forever.
Yeah.
But we'll see where it goes. But I think they're going to have a lot of legal challenges. A lot. Because even though I know that it's out there, it just hasn't really been studied long enough. There's going to have to be better government funding and studies about the poison, about this stuff. And I think the only ones that are really into it is probably France. And it's important to pay attention to France because they're kind of like the headway of no matter what viewpoint you're with in the Western world, whatever France does, usually these follows, So
yeah.
And they've done a lot where they've outlawed bulimic models. Like if you're too skinny, like I know it's still discriminatory, but like if you're like 109 pounds and anorexic, they don't want you on that poster board.
It's a behavioral thing though.
Right.
It's a thing. Yeah. I mean, it goes. Yeah. There's more depth to it than just like it. Because you're bulimic. It's like the cause of that and like what it does when other people see it.
Correct. Instagram shit. That's a disease in itself. This whole Instagram modeling and everything else like that. Because these kids are thinking this is the way they're supposed to look.
Right.
And it's not real. It's filters and angles and you look thicker or stronger this way because you're looking this way. And no, it's not how any of this works. They got cellulite and wrinkles and pimples and they're natural. And these filters are clearing it all up and they think this is the way they're supposed to look. And it's just not true.
Yeah. Dude, Instagram is dead today. What the hell? I just pulled mine up.
It's Easter.
But yeah, I gotta get back to
Happy Trans Visibility Day.
I gotta get back to doing my awesome homework. So
all right. Thank you for coming through. Thanks, guys.
Thanks for having me on.
No problem.
Peace out, chat.
Bye, guys.